Senator, on that note, just I guess a question that's out there. Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding? Why doesn't he want them released? When you don't want something like this released, when even a whole lot of Republicans are calling for the release, people ask the question, what's he hiding? It's got to be answered by releasing the files.
Come on, man. Give me a little break here.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight is our friend Mark Aaron. He is Canadian, but we do allow it. Welcome back.
Saddle up, partner.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Find him on X, by the way. Liberty M. Aaron, linked in the description for your convenience. In the news tonight, by the way, was that a French Canada reference? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just for hello.
I don't understand your commie language up there. Just making sure. I know you are in the French part of Canada. I just didn't know those. All right. In the news for discussion tonight, Trump does a 180 and says everyone should vote for the bill in Congress to release the Epstein files. We were talking about this on Sunday, and I said, well, barring any sort of unexpected reversal from Trump, this is going to be hard to get through Congress and past him. And then that night and into Monday, he did the reversal. And suddenly everybody in Congress, except for one guy, supports the release of the Epstein files. So we'll discuss. Yeah. Meanwhile, the House tried to censure the Virgin Islands delegate, Stacey Plaskett, in Congress. She was the woman who we now know was texting Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 congressional hearing with Michael Cohen. The censure effort was not successful, but she had a nonsensical way of defending herself on the House floor. We'll take a listen to that. More information coming out about Thomas Crooks, Mark, the attempted Trump assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania. On Sunday, we were talking about the information that Tucker had put out there about his online presence, and it turns out he'd been talking about his love for political violence and assassinations for quite some time.
Nice.
Now, we know that he apparently had a DeviantArt account, and it sounds like he was deviant on the DeviantArt account. He appreciated furries, and supposedly went by they, them pronouns or used
shocked. I'm shocked.
Another battle in the gay war or the trans war. I'm not entirely convinced here on this one, but I also don't think the report is false. But I don't know. Is there a DeviantArt radicalization pipeline that we don't know about?
Yeah, it seems to fit a pattern.
A lot of furries on there, so maybe it makes sense. Plus, of course, we'll take calls, voicemails, emails, and your super chats as well. If you'd like to call the show live, you can do that through the Discord server, linked in the description. There's help and instructions available for you on the server. You also have about an hour to leave a voicemail or a text if you'd like. We do have some lined up, but if you get one in the next hour or so, we'll play that back at the end of the stream as well. You can do a voicemail or a text message. Phone numbers in the description for you. We'll respond to those later in the show. Got to say hello to our friendly listener-owned business for the evening before we get into it, and that is our friends at Western Razor Company. We know we're being lied to on a daily basis by our government, by corporate media, and by razor companies too. Think about it. Their ads used to appeal to your masculinity, then they took advantage of your sensitivity with aloe strips. They kept adding blades, thinking you wouldn't notice how clogged they get, but the more they changed, the more plastic and disposable they became. The honest truth is those other razor brands are lying to your face, and our friends at Western Razor aren't going to take it anymore. That's why their safety razors are 100% metal, made in the USA, and made with integrity. The replacement blades are inexpensive too, so you get a great shave and you save money, because when you buy Western Razor once, it lasts forever. Great Christmas gift. by the way. Listeners can get 10% off any order when they use promo code MATT10 at checkout. Don't let those other razor brands lie to your face. Go to westernrazor.com. Order yours today. Western Razor, the last razor you will ever need. And don't forget about our friends over at Hero Soap Company as well. Of course, you can get my signature soaps, Timberline and Old West, plus shampoo, conditioner, cologne, and more. Great stocking stuffers as well. Plus, some other classics are back at Hero Soap for a limited time. Lemongrass is calming and lemony sweet. Spearmint is fresh and cool, just like the chewing gum. Pick them up while supplies last. 10% off all of that using promo code MCListener. Get a great all-natural, handmade in the USA product. Support military and first responder charities. Support this show. Save yourself some money. 10% off using promo code MCListener at HeroSoapCompany.com. Find all the information on all my deals at mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals. Deals by listeners for listeners. I have one or two quick announcements before we get into it, Mark.
Sure.
There will be no Wednesday show next week. Happy Thanksgiving. What's the Canadian Thanksgiving? Do you guys do it on the same day?
I still don't know. No, it's like the second Thursday of October or something.
Okay.
It's like a month before. I always get it wrong.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Well, unless you're Canadian, then no one knows when your Thanksgiving is. So no happy Thanksgiving.
It doesn't matter. There's like 12 of us.
But if you're in the U.S., we're not doing a Wednesday stream next week due to the Thanksgiving holiday. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you back here on December 3rd. There won't be an interruption to the Sunday stream, though. Those will go on as scheduled. And big congratulations to our friend and highly regarded contributor to the show, Matt Palumbo. His wife gave birth to his daughter on Monday.
Congratulations, butthead.
It is their first child. They were just married earlier this year as well. My sources say everyone is happy and healthy, and we'll have Matt back soon to tell us how it all went. But getting into the news, Mark, have you seen what's going on down in Charlotte and Raleigh and broader North Carolina in terms of ICE raids?
Not that I know of. I don't believe so.
Well, it's very clever.
I'm really out of the loop this week, so it's going to be all news to me.
All right. Well, we're going to have... that's one thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show, actually. There is a Canadian story for you. The Ostrich Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk the Canadian Ostrich Massacre later on as well. So, anyway,
we always
it's
make the news for the best reasons.
I guess I haven't seen ostrich farms in the news very much, but Canadian tyranny is an appropriate context to be introduced. Anyway, a very clever name for the ICE operations going on in North Carolina. It's Operation Charlotte's Web because Charlotte is the major city. But over the weekend, agents arrested more than 130 illegal immigrants. That was just, they started this on Saturday. That was just through the weekend. I'm sure it's more by now. Many with previous charges, according to DHS, including DUIs, aggravated assault. People who have criminal records beyond just their illegal presence in the country. Homeland Security officials have not said how many agents are part of this ongoing operation or how long it will last, but it has caused a lot of fear in the community, Mark. And of course, that's the most important thing. Fear in the community. Because early this week, public schools in Charlotte said something like 20,000 students, or about 15% of their student body, did not show up for class. Here's some reporting.
Charlotte-Mecklenburg school leaders are sharing the number of student absences from its campuses today. They say nearly 21,000 students were not in school today. That accounts for 15% of students enrolled across the district. CMS officials are not saying whether the mass absences are tied to the Border Patrol enforcement operations across the city. Queen City News will be digging a little deeper.
I'm calling Trump on you, you illegal motherfucker.
According to reporting, the actual number of absences was much higher. It wasn't 21,000. It was 30,000, about 20% of the total students. About 30% of the student body is Hispanic. And it wasn't just Charlotte. This week, Wake County schools, this is the Raleigh area, they put out a statement saying, hey, if your kid wants to stay home because they're afraid of the ICE agents, that's fine. They can do class on Zoom.
So
like COVID times.
I was wondering, is this a walkout? They were saying they don't even know if it's because of the raids, but the amount of students that are not showing up happens to perfectly correlate with the amount of Hispanic students in this. Okay, yeah, wow.
That's the thing. Just because you're staying home doesn't automatically mean you're an illegal. But what does it say about the state of our country? And I know I'm inviting a Canadian to rip the United States, which is never earned.
Well,
but,
just a word in my defense. I have my great-grandfather on my father's side did come through from Scotland through the U.S., so I have a bit in my blood.
Congratulations, butthead.
That entitles me to comment on all of your politics.
Well, I invite you to comment, because what does it say about the state of our country when just the mere presence of federal immigration enforcement agents causes 1 in 5 kids to disappear?
Well, and what does that say about the percentage of them that are illegal? If 100% of them aren't showing up for school because of the chance of deportation, sus.
Well, I say keep going.
You suck. I hope Trump deports you.
Anyway, we'll see what happens down North Carolina way as the week develops. But we are back to Epstein stuff.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
As I mentioned on the Sunday stream, we were discussing this coming move by Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, the whatever their fancy move in the House was to force the vote. I can't remember. I should remember the name of the maneuver. But they were going to force a vote on the release of the Epstein files without the support of Speaker Mike Johnson. And I had said that there would be a lot of obstacles to this becoming a reality, because even if it got through the House and the Senate, it's still got to get through Trump, unless they got a veto-proof supermajority, and that seemed unlikely, unless Trump did the inexplicable reversal. And I wasn't convinced that this bill to force anything was going to have any effect, because Trump stood in the way. Now, I'm still not convinced that this bill is going to have a meaningful effect. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But then Trump did the inexplicable reversal. He came out that night and into Monday and said, actually, everybody should vote for this House bill, and it's since gone through the Senate, to force the Justice Department to release the Epstein files, which still doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're the president of the United States. You just tell the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. But I guess we're going to do this through Congress.
And is Trump reversing on something really inexplicable at this point? That's it seems Trump pulled a Trump and completely changed his mind on something that he was 100% set on the day before.
He can be fickle, but in ways, I want to phrase this carefully.
It's 7D chess, right?
This is it? If this goes toward transparency, it's the right move for the good of the country and pursuant to the truth. So I don't want to be critical about it that way. But politically, it's yet another mysterious layer in this bizarre, nonsensical onion, because you've spent months fighting against this, saying it's fake, saying it's a Democrat hoax, saying the files aren't real. Actually, there's a truckload of them, but here's a binder that doesn't have any of them in there.
Yeah, no, he has officially held every opinion.
Yeah, to fight it in the ways that he has just to cave in the end is political malpractice. Again, I hope the right outcome is the result. I'm not critical of it for that reason, but this would have been so much easier had you just taken this position, say, February instead of
stuck to it. Yeah.
November.
I don't know. I guess good, right?
Well, we'll talk in 30 days, because we don't know what's going to come out.
And well, at this point, is it secure? Like that, if
Trump has yet to sign the bill, but my understanding is
he could still pull a Trump,
still do the veto,
and
reverse once again.
Yeah, but when he does sign it, then it's good, right?
Yeah, then it's law, and then there's a countdown. So let me get through the technicals a little bit here. Yeah. So as of at least a few hours ago, I don't think Trump has. If he has signed it, it just happened, because as of a couple hours ago, he still had not. But what does this bill do? Well, it's pretty basic. It directs the Justice Department to release all of its files related to the federal investigations of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Those records, according to a judge overseeing the case, account for about 100,000 pages of material. Plus, the DOJ also must release all of its internal communications about Epstein and his associates and his 2019 alleged jail cell death. Except, crucially, because there are some exceptions here, the the following will be excluded or redacted: personally identifiable information of the victims, child sex abuse materials, and classified information and/or national security information. But yes, once Trump signs the bill, then the clock starts and the Justice Department has 30 days to get this done. So that's how this will work out, and we'll find out in a month's time what kind of material and what kind of redactions we're looking at.
So I had heard that even the stuff that's redacted has like a sunset clause on it, that they can redact it for like a short period of time, but unless there's some type of special sensitivity, they even have to release that. Because didn't the last time they released stuff, they just redacted everything because it was classified? I
didn't see that specific piece. That could be a part of the bill. I'm not sure. But as far as like, you're saying it could be, the documents could be released in redacted form, but the redactions would expire at a certain point in time, and that would then.
Yeah, unless they were like super sensitive. Because I mean, that's from my concern, anyways, is that we're going to go through another ride on the merry-go-round here, and it's going to be, oh, we're releasing them, and then they release them, and they don't say anything, and then it's just going to be the same.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty convinced that's where we're going.
Yeah. I hope not.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I want to get into the guy who voted against the one. So
okay.
It was a nearly unanimous vote in Congress. The Senate then passed the bill in the House, that is. It was a nearly unanimous vote. The Senate then passed the bill by unanimous consent. So every senator signed off on it without a formal roll call vote, but there was no senator that was opposed. The House vote was 427-1. So who the hell is that one guy out of both the House and the Senate who voted against the bill? That would be Clay Higgins, Republican of Louisiana.
He touched young people.
Yeah,
to explain.
Not a good look. Was it like a silent vote, or did they know how everybody else voted? And he was like, no, I'm putting my name on this.
I assume the vote was the same as it always is. So they go one by one, a roll call vote. I didn't watch the vote, though.
Did he go first?
I don't know. I don't know where they put him. Usually it's alphabetical order, isn't it? Okay. I don't know.
What was his name again?
Higgins. Higgins.
Pretty up there.
Clay Higgins. So to explain why he voted no, Higgins said the bill abandons 250 years of criminal procedure in America. As written, the bill reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, alibis, family members, etc. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files releases to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt. I think they now have to add a provision to the bill, repass it to say that it requires a hard drive check for Mr. Higgins.
Definitely worth checking into.
This looks terrible for me.
Okay. Does it? I mean, there are a lot of redactions. I'm trying to think I'm trying to steel man this perspective. Hold on. I got a message from producer Tim. Got to make sure. Oh, breaking as of 45 minutes ago, Trump signed the Epstein bill. So it is done.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He already did it.
Trust the plan.
So his criticism then is even the redactions to protect victims and sensitive national security information and the rest, that doesn't necessarily protect people who are on the edges, I guess. People who maybe had associations with Epstein and the rest of his people maybe were not criminally charged, but they look sus in the files, I think is what he's talking about. That is to say, if you're not generally as a matter of tradition, I think is what he's saying, the Justice Department does not release information on people who are not criminally charged. If there was an investigation and the person is not charged, we don't just throw a bunch of mud out there. I think is what he's saying. I'm trying to do the best for the principles that he's defending, the best that I can for those things. But I'm not convinced. I think that the public interest, the need for the truth for the public on this matter outweighs whatever privacy right the people who are implicated here may have.
Right. And has he seen the files? Like, how does he know that this will be the effect? Unless he knows what's in there. And I still hate that sort of government paternalistic attitude of like, well, we can see it and we won't do the wrong thing. But if we let the American people know, can't trust them to use their judgment to condemn people or not.
I want to talk a little bit about what I view as the absolute cowardice of all of this too. And again, I will emphasize, if transparency is the end result of this effort, better late than never, glad to have it. Not saying we should shut this all down and not do the bill and DOJ should stop working. Of course, we want the truth. But pretty much everybody is a coward in this situation. Democrats are cowards for sitting on these files for 4 years under Biden, not caring about them at all, now pretending to care about them insofar as it might help them get Trump. Okay.
Right.
Republicans in Congress are cowards because they sat around not acting on this for months. Then Trump gives them permission to support the bill, and suddenly they all line up to do it, including the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who had been opposed, votes in support of transparency now. They all needed like their Trump permission slip to go ahead and do this. And then you have Trump himself, which we've talked about. You've flip-flopped all over. You've taken every possible position on this issue. And meanwhile, and it's not just Trump. It's the DOJ. It's Pam Bondi, certainly. But by extension, the entirety of this White House has just been flip-flopping, taking every position only to cave in the end against their original position. Again, happy to have transparency if that's the outcome. But pretty much everybody was a coward in this situation. I find it hard to stick up for anybody here.
Yeah.
Can you think of anybody who deserves a good defense?
Well, the guy, was it Massey, right? Who pushed the bill?
Oh yeah. Well,
he's the one.
Massey did
the
a
one.
job,
Everybody already looks bad. So just get out the file and let them look worse. Like who's gonna? Yeah, they all suck.
Well, the question is, why did Trump reverse? And CNN has some reporting on that. They have their trusty anonymous sources with knowledge, so take whatever grains of salt you deem necessary here. But according to the people with knowledge talking to CNN, it became clear to Trump that he was not going to win this battle with Congress, that Congress likely would compel the release of these files, and he didn't want the embarrassment of losing what was a lobbying effort, him going to Congress, telling people to oppose this bill, him losing that and looking like he failed in that regard. So he decided better to change his mind before the vote than to look like he lost the vote. The reporting also says, according to these sources, that Trump is very frustrated with the continued attention on the Epstein files, that he views them as a distraction from his agenda and from his successes, and he doesn't want to talk about them anymore. So just go ahead and get them out there and people can evaluate them and we can move on. Which seems plausible to me. Those are perfectly sensible motives for why he would act the way that he has. Again, I don't think it justifies the course of action here and how this has been delayed and fought against for months and months, but that seems like a pretty plausible explanation to me. Trump sees the writing on the wall, doesn't want to lose, changes his mind, said, nope, I'm on the winning team now. And also just clearly he's irritated with it. He, as we'll get to in a moment, he gets very frustrated when reporters ask him questions about the Epstein files. So if you just want to move on, then transparency is the way to move on. Give everybody the information they need to evaluate, and then we can get on to other things.
Good done. I mean, I'm sympathetic to Trump's, what I believe is his position on this, which what it seems like is he's kind of, he's triaging priorities and he's saying, I'm getting the border wall done. I'm getting this done. That's my agenda. And this thing, if it comes out, could jeopardize some of these things. So what's more important to you? Taking down a couple of politicians, people you already know as scumbags, if that's going to cost me the ability to go and round up people. So, I can put myself in his position and get that there could be some frustration there if what he foresees is that this is going to be a hindrance to his agenda down the road. That's the most charitable I can be to his position on this. But at the same time, you're not God. You don't. Yeah, you got to do the right thing no matter what. Sometimes, even if it hurts.
I think the Thomas Massey assessment of Trump's opposition is probably correct. That being that the idea that Trump himself is going to be implicated in these files, no. If he was, we would have seen that a long time ago. Yeah, we know they're selectively leaking these emails, trying to make him look bad, when in fact they kind of exonerate him. They make him look. They're putting out email quotes from Jeffrey Epstein saying, I hate Trump. And acting like we're supposed to agree with Jeffrey Epstein now. So Trump is not, there's not going to be a smoking gun against Trump, but I certainly can envision a situation where people associated with Trump, people Trump knows, friends of Trump, are the sort of implicated people that Clay Higgins is talking about. Maybe they're not, maybe there's not enough to charge them criminally, but there's enough in there that they look kind of shady. Mm-hmm. And Trump doesn't want to put those people on the hook. I assume that's what he's been motivated by this entire time, if I try to give his position as much credit as possible. I just wish he would have said something. If that's his position, that we're going to have innocent people defamed and implicated for no good reason if we do this, I would have liked to hear that perspective instead of just, Are
you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Dismissing everybody with questions about it. So anyway,
we'll see.
The saga of Stacey Plaskett continues, though. And I don't know if you caught this, Mark, but the most implicated person from the Epstein files so far, to me, beyond Epstein and Maxwell, and the people actually criminally charged, and whoever is on this client list that's supposed to exist but maybe doesn't, and maybe someday we'll see it, who knows. Beyond all of that, the most implicated person I've seen is Stacey Plaskett, who is the delegate for the Virgin Islands. That's where Epstein Island is. It's not a state, but they do have a non-voting member of Congress. And as part of this recent release of communications from Epstein's estate, we learned that Stacey Plaskett was texting Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 congressional hearing, questioning former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. So just to give you the complete picture here, Mark, you got Democrats questioning Trump's former lawyer, who has now flipped on Trump to make him look really bad. This lady, who again represents the Virgin Islands, where Epstein Island is and where Jeffrey Epstein lives, is receiving texts from Jeffrey Epstein during the hearing, getting information and help with what questions she should ask. And now Stacey Plaskett has responded. There was an attempt to censure her in Congress that failed. The other part of her relationship with Epstein is she personally solicited political donations from Jeffrey Epstein in 2018, well after he was already a convicted sex offender, and of course just prior to his federal charges and his death. So Plaskett has responded. There was an attempt to censure her in the House. It failed. We'll get into that in a moment. But before we get into her commentary, her defense of herself, I want to revisit that texting scandal, because much of what she says in her defense is totally contrary to what we can all see and hear from the text messages and the congressional hearing. So I know this is repeat for Sunday, but it's important information. I want to make sure people don't miss it. And I think even for you, Mark, just to understand and discuss it with me, it's worth revisiting again. So
I know nothing about this story, and I didn't even know we had the text messages or how they got them or anything. So yes, please. Yeah. I'm very excited to find out.
So this is, again, repeat from Sunday, but worth repeating. This is Stacey Plaskett in February 2019 texting Jeffrey Epstein during Michael Cohen's congressional testimony. They're strategizing to get Trump. And again, these texts were part of Epstein's estate files. They're now public. And the Washington Post did the work of timing up these texts to what was happening during the hearing.
This was when Barack Obama.
So earlier in the morning, Epstein texts Plaskett, "Are you chewing?" This part's not really relevant, but they were just communicating. Not anymore. Okay. Later in the hearing,
so which one is she? Can you point her out when it shows her?
She is that lady right there. Epstein texts her, "Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of the secrets." She responds, "Rona?
Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?"
Yes.
And she said, "Well, quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym? I need more information. Jeffrey Epstein, help me out." And Jeffrey Epstein says that is his assistant, Michael Cohen's assistant. Oh, okay. I better ask about Rona, Michael Cohen's assistant. There she goes.
Weisenberg and other individuals, Miss Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump
Trump's
organization?
assistant, maybe. Can't remember.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So, Alan Weiselberg is the chief financial officer.
You got to quickly give us as many names as you can, so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Miss Rona? What is Miss Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his.
And then Epstein texts her, "Good work."
Involved in a lot.
Okay.
That went on.
So Rona was a Trump assistant, not a Michael Cohen assistant, to be clear. But again, that is February 2019, Mark, only months before Epstein's arrest, his supposed suicide. This is well after Jeffrey Epstein already pleaded guilty for sex crimes in Florida a decade prior. And a member of Congress is taking Jeffrey Epstein direction to go get Trump and actively courting his money. Please support the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee for $30,000. Jeffrey Epstein said, sure, I'll do that, even though the party later rejected the money. But she had also done that. She was also
after he didn't die, or
this was 2018, the year before. Hey, the Democrat Party, the Congressional Campaign Committee is after me to earn money for them. Hey, Jeffrey, will you please send the max to them? Oh yeah, sure. Then they rejected the money. So,
but they solicited him.
She solicited him, and the party rejected the money. Although she had taken campaign contributions from him in the cycles prior. So
sounds clean. Yeah, no, nothing sketchy there at all.
With all of that background, for that reason, Congressman Ralph Norman, Republican of South Carolina, introduced a resolution to censure Stacey Plaskett. So just like a shame on you, tisk tisk gesture from the House. They're not kicking her out or anything.
Right. But censure is just like not even a slap on the wrist, right? It's just
it's like a
formal you did bad thing.
It's a formal way of saying
you suck. I hope Trump deports you.
Yeah. They also were going to remove her from the Intel Committee because she's on the House Intelligence Committee.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Maybe good idea.
But that vote failed narrowly, 214 to 209. All Democrats voted against. That tells you how much they care about Epstein associations.
Yeah.
And all Republicans voted in favor except for 6. 3 voted against it and 3 voted present or just abstained. So it fails. There's not going to be any punishment for Stacey Plaskett. But in defending herself, Stacey Plaskett gave this impassioned speech full of lies. Of course, so here's some of that yesterday.
And at the beginning of that hearing, the ranking member, Jim Jordan, had the disrespect to Elijah Cummings, may he rest in peace and his name be a memory, after not allowing Mr. Jordan to shut the committee hearing down. And I turned to Mr. Jordan and told him to have respect for the chair and to basically shut up. And that moment went viral. And I began to get innumerable texts from friends, from foes, and I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, who was sharing information with me. Now, I heard recently from someone that I was seeking advice from him. Let me tell you something. I don't need to get advice on how to question anybody. I have been a lawyer for 30 years. I know how to seek information because I want the truth, not because I need them to tell me what to say. And if you look at the transcript, you will see that I questioned Michael Cohen for 5 minutes. The Washington Post only shows you 30 seconds and takes from it one individual's name that I got from Jeffrey Epstein and didn't know who the individual was. They've taken a text exchange which shows no participation, no assistance, no involvement in any illegal activity, and weaponized it for political theater. You want to talk about texting felons? How often do you text President Donald J. Trump? That's the individual we should be concerned about.
It's not against the law, ho, fuck you.
Okay, Mark, to her points, I don't know if you caught any inaccuracies or hypocrisies in that, but she says she was getting tons of texts on her phone because, after all, she had just called out Jim Jordan, fellow congressman, in a viral moment. So everyone was just blowing her phone up. Wow, awesome job, girl boss Stacey Plaskett. That is supposed to be a defense of Jeffrey Epstein texting her because, after all, she just gets texts from everybody. Some people hate her. Some people appreciate her. To me, that is worse because if your phone actually was blowing up, which, by the way, I don't even believe you, but let's say that's true. Like, you're getting a text every second.
We wouldn't know, right? Because we don't know what the Wall Street Journal chose to publish and not publish, right? So she could have that could have been 1 out of 100 texts, I'm assuming.
It was Washington Post and not the Wall Street Journal.
Sorry.
Don't bring them
into this. They both start with W.
Yeah. But it's all public. The Washington Post got that from the estate files. So that's all public independent of the Washington
Post.
Post.
You can go see.
Yes, you can verify that. But if your phone is blowing up with a message every second and you still overcome the distraction to focus on Jeffrey Epstein, I got a million people texting me, but it's actually important that I text Jeffrey Epstein first and foremost. That's worse to me. That means your attention was divided by a million different things, but you deliberately focused on Jeffrey Epstein. To me, that's not a defense. That makes it worse what you were doing.
Yeah, and had to find out immediately who Rona was. Because it's very important.
She says Jeffrey Epstein's federal investigation was not public knowledge at the time, which I believe is correct, but that ignores the fact that he was already a convicted sex offender in Florida. He had pleaded guilty to prostitution of an underage girl, soliciting prostitution of an underage girl. That was public knowledge, absolutely. It happened a decade before that, and she knew about it.
Yeah. No, I'd heard about Epstein for years before the 20, whatever it was, the big when he blew up, but he wasn't unheard of before that.
Yeah. I don't take advice from Jeffrey Epstein. People are saying I took advice from him. You said, quote, quick,
just pass along his questions.
I'm up next. Is that an acronym requesting information from Jeffrey Epstein? Then she asked exactly what Jeffrey Epstein had sent. She asked about exactly what he had sent her. Like, give me this piece of information so I can ask specifically about that. And then he said, good work in response. That seems fairly advisory in its nature. Oh, the Washington Post only showed 30 seconds of my 5-minute questioning. Again, I only devoted 10% of my time to what Jeffrey Epstein.
Look, they didn't show you all the days I didn't shoot that guy. Come on.
Yeah. Not a defense. Again, that's an indictment. And I looked at it. Point of fact, it's not 30 seconds. The first point of communication between them, they were talking throughout the day. The first timestamp is 7:41 a.m. It extends into 11:34 a.m. They're not talking constantly throughout that.
Epstein and her?
Yeah, but the one part where they're going back and forth about Rona is still more than 30 seconds. It's like a minute or two. So the 30 seconds thing is minimizing in a way that's not strictly accurate. She says she didn't commit any illegal activity. That was never the accusation. Nobody said you were going to face a criminal charge. It's kind of shady that you're cooperating with a sex offender to get Trump, don't you think? That was the criticism.
She's just after justice. It's justice is blind, and you get a hint from a sex trafficker. You follow that lead.
Also, point of fact, right behind her. Oh, I don't have the. Let me pull up the clip again. I think it's this one. Hold on. Point of fact.
And at the beginning. And at the beginning of that hearing, the ranking member, Jim Jordan,
I should have been better at
the
this.
disrespect
This is a duct tape interruption.
to Elijah Cummings.
Right behind her there on the right in the like bluish purple jacket, that's LaMonica MacGyver. LaMonica MacGyver is under, she's currently facing charges for hammer punching federal law enforcement agents outside of an ICE detention center earlier this year. So you got two people here that need to be kicked out of Congress, both of them. And again, expulsion from Congress was never on the table for either of them, actually. They kicked out George Santos. And again, I'm no George Santos fan, but they kicked him out before he was ever convicted of any crime. LaMonica MacGyver is facing a violent criminal charge against federal law enforcement agents right now. This woman's cooperating with Jeffrey Epstein, knowing he was a sex offender to get Trump. These are both people that should be expelled from the House, and instead we're talking about giving them a tisk-tisk and allowing them to do this display. So
they could move to New York where crime is a social construct.
Well, here's hoping they do. It's basically a different country at this point, so close enough. You get deported to New York, it's kind of the same thing, I think. And as far as the political charade here, you know, it's not as though anybody thought Epstein was anything but a tool for Democrats, but we have the House Democrat leader, Hakeem Jeffries. He was asked rather insistently on CNN, hey, you think it's like cool or normal or okay that Stacey Plaskett has this texting relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? And all he can say likewise is, well, it's not against the law.
And you heard Stacey Plaskett there. She was arguing her texts with Jeffrey Epstein were not illegal. But in your view, were they appropriate?
Well, Stacey Plaskett is not accused of violating any House rule, any law, any statute, and she's clearly and unequivocally denounced Jeffrey Epstein.
But do you think it was appropriate for her to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein 11 years after he pleaded guilty?
I mean, I have not had a conversation with Stacey Plaskett to discuss this issue because we've been focused today on making sure that there was a decisive vote as it related to the Epstein files and the release.
Do you plan to talk to her about it?
I think that we successfully defeated a resolution that lacked any basis, was not credible, and was being brought by an individual who was trying to weaponize this issue. It was rejected on a bipartisan basis on the floor today. That's the end of the story.
We will fight hard.
So we have to hold everyone accountable for their Epstein associations.
He came immediately from another interview where he's like, we have a picture of Trump with Epstein, certified sex trafficker for sure. That's the picture where they're together. Yeah. Guilty.
How come the standard is, well, I haven't talked to Trump about that. Are you going to talk to Trump about that? No, I'm not.
No.
Oh, well, then I guess case closed, huh?
Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned, Stacey Plaskett solicited and received campaign contributions from Jeffrey Epstein, not just for her own congressional campaign, but she attempted for the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee. So in Stacey Plaskett's defense, it's not just LaMonica McIver, the woman who just finished hammer punching federal agents outside the ICE detention facility. We also have Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman for Waffle House. And she stood up there. Sorry,
that must be Breitbart whoever picked that picture.
Yeah. This is a Breitbart article. But yeah, that is she looks like the Pikachu meme. You know that one? The shocked face. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jasmine Crockett stands up there and says, are you sure you want to play this game about Epstein political donations? Because I looked them up, and it looks like a lot of you guys are implicated too.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review.
Good thing she said somebody named Jeffrey Epstein. And she said, my team took a quick look at it. There is, in fact, Mark, another Jeffrey Epstein. He's a doctor in New York.
That's funny.
And I don't know if his name is still Jeffrey Epstein. He's got to change it, though, for sure. No one's going to Dr. Jeffrey Epstein.
Still being called Hitler.
He's now Dr. Bin Laden or whatever, just pick anything else, really. But I love
when they bring up, oh God, because George Bush, everybody loves him.
Yeah. Oh, please don't go after Mitt Romney. But that's you notice all the other ones
list of never Trumpers. It's like, okay, thanks.
Even if I don't care about defending anyone who had a close and suspicious relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. That's the point. But you notice how the people she's referencing beyond Lee Zeldin, who again is a different Jeffrey Epstein, so that case doesn't apply. The rest of the people she's talking about are quite old politicians or campaigns of yesteryear, well before the era that we're talking about with Stacey Plaskett. Again, we're talking about like 2000s before Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted sex offender.
Right.
And the difference with Plaskett and the rest of these guys, now, I assume in the case of George Bush or Mitt Romney or anybody else who happened to get a political donation from Jeffrey Epstein, I assume those are correct and her research team did a great job, except for the case of Lee Zeldin. I'll grant that point. But I assume that Jeffrey Epstein just donated to their campaigns by, say, going to their campaign websites. That is to say, people get political donations from all sorts of people they don't know or have no knowledge of the donation even. The difference with Stacey Plaskett is she called up Jeffrey Epstein herself. Hey, man, can you please come not only give my campaign a bunch of money, but can you please cut a huge check to the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee. Again, July 12th, 2018, Plaskett sent an email to Epstein's assistant, Leslie Groff, inviting the pedophile to a fundraiser for her campaign. She said she would be grateful for whatever support Epstein could provide. That's the difference. It's not just she got a donation. She solicited it. She wanted it. And again, at the time, he was a convicted sex offender. Okay.
It's the difference between, like running into someone at McDonald's or inviting them to your kid's birthday party.
Yes.
Context.
Now, Chuck Schumer was also asked about the Epstein files, and he was asked, hey, why didn't Joe Biden care at all about this when he was president for the last 4 years? And I assume Chuck Schumer just misunderstood the question, but the result was pretty hilarious.
Senator, on that note, just I guess a question that's out there. Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding? Why doesn't he want them released? When you don't want something like this released, when even a whole lot of Republicans are calling for the release, his own party members, people ask the question, what's he hiding? It's got to be answered by releasing the files.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
I assume he thought the question was about Trump because that's all he thinks about.
Yeah. No, oops, I meant to answer that in the exact opposite fashion. Yeah. Sorry.
So to close this out quick, because, man, we're already approaching the top of the hour and I got plenty more to talk about. What's next with the files? Again, it's going to be a month until they are required to be released. I would expect that this is going to go all the way up to that deadline. We're not going to see anything until whatever, December 19th or whatever that day is. And then right at the buzzer, I think we're going to get some heavily redacted files. And I also wonder how this is going to play out because Trump announced a new DOJ investigation into Epstein and his relationship with Democrats last week. So are we going to get a bunch of stuff withheld because there's an ongoing investigation now? This seems like it might be the end. My prediction is this is nothing close to the end. This is going to be like a month break from it, and then we're going to get the same questions and the same problems in about 30 days. That is my prediction on how this plays out.
Yeah, I think I share that. I'm just wondering if they'll try and time it for like Christmas Day or what's the. It's iffy with that time of year because you don't want to do it when everybody's home, like that week between Christmas and New Year's, and we can just dig through all of it. So yeah, I don't know. I think you're probably right. Unfortunately, though, we're going to get something that's nothing.
Did you see the quiet Piggy moment?
I did not.
Okay. Well, this
sounds awesome though.
If flaking
I like it already.
If flaking or reversing or just being fickle is true to Trump form, this is vintage Trump, really. There was a reporter aboard Air Force One, and she pressed Trump on the Epstein files. This was Friday before he had reversed and supported the bill. And Trump responded, "Quiet Piggy," to shut her up.
Sir, if there's nothing incriminating in the file, sir, why not is
Now, at first, I thought that it must be a mistake. Like the reporter's name must be Peggy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a good cover, is it?
No, the White House is standing by it. They're saying, no, that reporter's a huge bitch. Yeah. Shut that Piggy up.
Yeah, no, she is in fact a pig. Yeah.
They said a White House statement said that this reporter is Catherine Lucy at Bloomberg. It's not Peggy. And there's no denial that Trump said this, and Trump and the White House appear to stand by it. They said that Lucy behaved in an inappropriate and unprofessional way because she was pressing him on the Epstein files. And reporters should be able to take the president's insults. And I saw people on X all offended by this and saying, well, how would you feel if this reporter called Trump a fat ass in response? I thought,
oh, yeah.
Good.
Because the media's never called Trump anything.
That point too. It's not as though they've hesitated to call him Hitlerian things.
Stuff. Yeah.
But yes, I would like to see them play the game. Quiet Piggy. No, you shut the hell up, fat ass.
Let's go. Yeah.
Anybody who's holding out for decorum in this country, sorry, that ship has sailed. I'm all on board with WWE politics in that way. Absolutely dunk. Enter the dunk contest. We all want to see it.
Yeah. I hate when people, there was a short period in the 50s and 60s when they feigned decorum, but I want to go back to like the 1800s when it was duels on the front lawn.
Duels, Piggy.
Each other. Yeah.
Or pistols at high noon, Piggy.
Pistols at noon.
Yeah. exactly.
Shut up or put up.
Now, I saw a post claiming, I'm not even saying this is wrong, but I'm skeptical of the photo. Well, I thought this was her, Catherine Lucy, because it does look very Miss Piggy-like. But then I looked at the reporter's X handle, and that is actually a photo of her. So unless something has changed radically, I don't think she's actually all that Piggy in appearance. And the only other thing about that, I tried to pull, the audio is great, or it would be if it weren't for that plane noise on Air Force One. It's a great soundboard submission, but I think I isolated the voice all right. It was really hard to work with. We'll see if I can
put it in. Apparently, Adobe has a program that'll clean up audio.
I tried it in Final Cut, and it did all right. But yeah, like there's been a couple times where Trump has said things near helicopters or airplanes. Man, getting the voice isolated from the I think
background. That's why he does it.
Yeah. Trump, please just into a high quality microphone with not a lot of background noise. Repeat the line. Because I need that one. All right. Get through a couple more things before the top of the hour here. We'll get into your calls and voicemails and emails in the second hour. But on Sunday, Mark, we were talking about Tucker Carlson's story on Thomas Crooks. Now, did you catch that story of his, the half-hour one, all about Crooks' online presence?
No.
So to catch you up really quickly, Tucker has a source that has tracked down a lot of Thomas Crooks' online presence across multiple different platforms. They were able to recover a lot of his accounts or find them through connection to his phone number, which was part of the investigation. Tucker said this is contrary to FBI claims that Thomas Crooks had little to no online presence, because they've found, among other things, hundreds of comments from Thomas Crooks, some of them under his actual name, just straight up Thomas Crooks. And they've been able to verify that this is, in fact, his account through linking it to other things. But he had a YouTube account, and for years he posted. It appears he went from Trump supporter to reversal to Trump hater around 2020 COVID time. And then he started talking about the need for political violence and assassinations. And then a mystery guy named Willie Tepes on YouTube said, "Hey, I love political assassinations too. We should be friends." And then Thomas Crooks just disappeared off the internet at that point.
Fed.
We still don't know.
Well,
who
that would
Willie Tepes
explain
is.
why the FBI couldn't find any of his internet presence, right?
Correct. So Tucker's alleging a cover-up. Kash Patel disputed it. That's where we stand. Thomas Crooks the point is there was a lot more information on Thomas Crooks than we were told, and we saw some new information through Tucker's team. I did not see until this week. I don't think the information came out until Monday or Tuesday. But he also had a DeviantArt account. And DeviantArt, I don't use the platform. I don't really know much about it, but supposedly furries love it. That's where you go to look at furry art, and Thomas Crooks liked furry art of
it's
cartoons.
Like a website, or it's a
it's some
media?
kind of. It's like I think it's like art-based social media. I sound like an old man right now, but I am. I have no idea what DeviantArt is. I just read about it. But you can share your furry art on DeviantArt. And Thomas Crooks apparently liked muscular body cartoons with sexualized feminine faces. That's what he was into. But the thing is, a report from the New York Post says that he was actually using they, them pronouns on DeviantArt. So is this another episode in the ongoing trans wars? We had some commentary from the spokesman for Turning Point USA, Andrew Colvin, who said, wow, this looks a lot like Tyler Robinson, the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin, into furries. Had a transgender roommate boyfriend guy. I know this might be kind of a stretch, but the one thing I notice about Thomas Crooks, too, there's like a handful of photos and videos of him. He always had shorter hair until he shows up on Assassination Day, and we see the one photo from law enforcement, the bizarre photo from overhead. But Assassination Day is the only time I've ever seen him with long hair that I can recall. If there are other photos of him with long hair, I haven't seen him out there. Now, obviously, I'm not saying long hair automatically makes you a tranny, but is it?
That was not what I took from it.
Well, I just thought like that's kind of odd that his hair suddenly got long, and now we know he was.
But I mean, was he commonly photographed? I mean, how recent were the other pictures that we have? All I know is that like most of these patsies, there's like very little, just completely sparse.
There aren't a lot of him. Yeah, it's not a lot. But every other one, he's just like a shorter haired guy. He shows up on Assassination Day after hanging out with Willie Tepes, and Willie told him to grow his hair out and become a woman, I guess. It's supposedly the story.
I don't know how, but then I'm so old. I just wonder how prevalent sexual deviancy is amongst this cohort. Maybe everybody's got a tranny tune account. I doubt it. Is that a thing?
I deny entirely. I've never even been on DeviantArt in my life.
Yeah.
But okay, before the top of the hour, unless you have more to say about this story, but I want to leave time for the great Canadian Ostrich Massacre. And this is a great story, not just because it allows you to hate on the Canadian government, really everybody, which is
please do.
An easy and healthy thing to do, I think. But the fascinating thing about this story is it's one of those that has really united everybody to hate on the Canadian government. You have the left and the right and the center all hating on Canada's government on behalf of the ostriches. And let me explain why. But there's this farm near Edgewood, British Columbia. That's not far from the border with Washington State. So it's kind of like up over Spokane when I look at the map.
Yeah, good weather.
But there's this farm there, an ostrich farm, and it's run by a family. And on November 6th, Canadian feds killed some 400 ostriches by firing squad. You can see the aftermath here. And this was after a long court battle throughout the last year because they believed the ostriches to be a risk for H5N1 flu, which is some kind of flu that causes bird flu. So agents from the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the CFIA, corralled these birds, stacked some hay, as you can see in the photo there. They lined them up, and they engaged professional marksmen to eliminate them.
Jeez.
And according to the Daily Mail's reporting here, this was like... It's kind of like some kind of Call of Duty op. I mean, I don't know how accurate this is or how sensationalized it is, but they're saying they waited until sunset. They waited until darkness. And these guys were kitted out with night vision goggles and fancy optics. And they just massacred these 400 ostriches with their fancy rifle setups and then their tactical kits. So the legal controversy has been going on for nearly a year. It's actually kind of older than that. The origin of the story dates back about 5 years. Again, this farm is Universal Ostrich Farm, and it's a family operation. They sell meat and hides and feathers, and they make moisturizer from the melted ostrich fat. And many of the animals, the ostriches this family had, they have names. They're kind of pets and livestock. So you read about the names in this story too. But these ostriches were kept in open air pens, as you can see in the photo there. There's surrounding wildlife. There's a large pond nearby where ducks and other birds visit. And so back in February 2020, the farm's ostriches got sick and about 10 of them died. Lab testing confirmed there was some bacteria present with these ostriches, but and the family, they suspected bird flu, but I don't think bird flu was confirmed at the time. Fast forward to December 2024, about this time last year, there's a new outbreak at the farm after some exposure to wild ducks at the pond. And the Canadian Food Inspection Agency got tipped off and intervened because some anonymous a-hole called in and reported 25 to 30 ostrich deaths at the farm. And so the CFIA came in with their hazmat suits and they tested the dead ostriches, and they confirmed the presence of this H5N1 influenza subtype that leads to bird flu. And the CFIA ordered the culling of these ostriches for December 31st last year. The deadline, or that's when they ordered it. The deadline was going to be February 1st. The farm sought an exemption. There were appeals. The CFIA's perspective, the Canadian Fed's perspective was we have to protect, first of all, we have to protect animal health, but we have to minimize impact on the Canadian poultry industry too. And of course, last year we saw everything that went crazy with bird flu and eggs and all that nonsense. So that's kind of the context in which this fit. But the legal battle played out for the entirety of the last year until November 6th, when the Supreme Court of Canada dismissed the farm's appeal and the Ostrich Massacre commenced. And as the Daily Mail reports here, there were big protests throughout the year and into the Ostrich Massacre at the start of the month. But there were people there for all sorts of ideological reasons. You have animal lovers, of course. You have anti-vaxxers. Now, why do the anti-vaxxers care? I'll get into that in a second. You have conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hatters. And then you have just generally wholesome government haters of all types.
Yeah, good people.
Who joined forces. You know who else was there? Was the Canadian trucker lady, Tamara Litch. You know that name?
Litch, yeah.
Yeah.
She showed up.
Or she was part of this. I don't know if she was actually there or just if she was there in spirit or what. But they all joined forces in opposition to this culling. Even RFK Jr. voiced opposition. Of course, he has no say because this is Canada. But this is where it gets tinfoil. Like, what's the anti-vax angle? Well, apparently there's belief that ostriches, because of their robust immune systems, might hold some keys to human immunity. And so there is research that is going on with ostriches, and this family had been working with some Japanese researcher guy, Yasuhiro Tsukamoto, who believes that ostriches, with their powerful immune system, potentially hold the key to a huge breakthrough in biomedicine that not only fights bird flu, but cholera, COVID, and even obesity. And apparently there are some test results to this effect. So the thinking here, the tinfoil angle, is that these ostriches were not killed to protect animal health in Canada. It's that ostriches are a secret medical miracle that potentially threatens big pharma and the rest of the vaccine industry, because if we successfully harvest these ostrich antibodies from the eggs and discover their medical usefulness, big pharma will be out of business. So it was Pfizer.
Everybody's involved. Everybody's involved in this.
Moderna. It was all these companies joined forces with Canadian feds to snipe the ostriches to protect their business. And you know why I'm convinced, Mark? Because CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, Canadian feds, they have pointed out that there's no evidence that ostrich antibodies protect other animals, including humans. And so now that they've denied it, I know it's true. Yeah, that's the most convincing evidence possible.
And I don't think they help the conspiracy theorists, because I believe they refused to retest them. So they had gotten tested like a year ago, and they found that some of them had this bird flu prerequisite or whatever it is. And then it was like 6 months later that the court gave them the go ahead to go kill them all. And the farmers, again, this is what my knowledge of this is all not confirmed, but that they said, well, why don't you come back and test them? It's been 6 months. They're not all dead. And they were like, no, we're just going to kill them.
That's why.
And so that's what kind of got everybody involved in protesting, because it was just the Canadian government being the assholes they are and killing things, because that's what they are good at. It's Canadian healthcare, Matt. This is what we do.
It's because they were going to put big pharma out of business. I'm all on board now. I want to figure out the secrets of ostrich antibodies, because I'm sold now that Canadian feds have told me there's nothing to see here. I believe it.
Exactly.
I'm going to learn everything about it.
Well, I even wondered, like, what do they think they're going to do? Fly away?
Oh, I know.
But I guess it's that other birds that migrating birds would come and land in the pond and then get sick.
I think that was the thinking.
That sickness. So,
and those birds bring it to the chicken place or the turkey place or whatever. But anyway, you ready to take some calls? Hop on the Discord server, my friend, and we'll get those going.
I should be there.
You're not in my server, wherever you are.
Hang on, I'm probably in the wrong one again.
All right, let's see if we can get it figured out.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I'll get a caller in here, and we'll go from there. All right.
Go for it. Sorry.
Or do you need
I had to mute my mic to cough, and then I couldn't check if I was in the thing. I should be in the server.
Okay, just hop in the live room. Do you see the live room on the left hand?
Yeah, Matt Christiansen calls. I'm there.
You guys don't think this shit through, do you?
Live room.
Yeah, just click on live room. There you go. Got it. All right.
One of these times it will be seamless, Matt. I promise you.
That was my fault. I didn't set it up before the show. Vong, are you there?
Hello there, Matt. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. Hello, Mark. I see that is your name here in Discord.
Hello.
You're muted,
hello,
though.
yes.
I cannot hear you, Mark.
Give me one second.
Sorry, we have a little bit of unplanned.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, indeed, I can. You are Lee Charlie.
Amazing.
Tech work here.
Wonderful.
Okay, so we're all set. What do you got for us?
Yes, we're all set. Well, first, as always, standards must be maintained and traditions must be upheld. Chat? I drink your tears as always.
All right.
Now,
cheers.
I had mentioned that I wanted to call in to discuss this absolute ridiculous prot-cuck pagan nonsense about the vigil of the Feast of All Saints somehow being a co-opting of some Celtic pagan feast. There's a few things about this.
Just to clarify for everybody else, this is about Halloween being of Christian origin. Is that where we're coming from?
Okay.
Yes. So so Halloween is a contraction essentially of All Hallows Eve, right? Which is more correctly is the vigil of the Feast of All Hallows. Which hallowed, right? Where else do we find that word? Just about the only other place, which is in the Pater, or as you guys probably call it, the Our Father. Hallowed be thy name, right? So in Latin, that is sanctificetur nomen tuum. Sanctificetur, right? Hallowed be. And that word comes from the same root as actually the word from which we get the word saint, which is sanctes or sanctis, right? And so the Feast of All Saints, right, is on November 1st, but its vigil is the evening of October 31st. Now, there's a lot of ridiculousness about this whole pagan thing. There are kind of two lines of argument on this. The first being that, they're just essentially just taking the pagan feast and trying to dress it up as Christian, which is raging bullcrap. It's held to honor all the saints and martyrs of the church. Kind of began 300s-ish after the Diocletian persecutions, when there were so many martyrs who won the crown of martyrdom that they couldn't even give each group of them that died in the same time and place together a specific day on which they were to be remembered. So yeah. So
well, wait, so pagan, not Christian. Am I understanding correctly?
Christian, not pagan.
Oh, Christian, not pagan. I got it backwards.
This is why. So there were so many martyrs that they had to group it all into one feast for all of them, right? So the Feast of All Saints.
Okay, so it is because I'd heard this somewhere else too, just this year for the first time, that it is in fact a Christian holiday. I was always turned off by the morbidity of it, but
yeah. So
maybe we should take it back.
So it's to honor those who gave their lives for Christ, right? Because I mean, if you read, it's in Eusebius' Church History. You'll find it in Volume 8 and the appendix thereof. Some accounts of the martyrdoms that some of these martyrs suffered. I don't want to say to read any of it on stream, Matt, because you would probably get a strike if I did.
No.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sparing my channel.
It's actually
nasty
that
shit.
bad.
Yeah,
it's actually that bad.
Huh.
Okay, so we need to recolonize Halloween, Matt.
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
The
well,
other thing is,
to catch you up, Mark, it's real quick, Vong. It's been a debate on this channel for the last few weeks whether Halloween is Christian or anti-Christian, and how Christians should engage with the holiday. So that's where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Colonize.
Yes. The thing is, they also try to claim that it's on the same day as this old pagan festival, which means that that you're just taking it. And seriously, guys, do better. The church has always, from the earliest days, basically taken things that the pagans celebrate something that thing in and of itself is good and wholesome, right? So say praying for a good harvest, right? That is good and wholesome in and of itself, stripped of pagan trappings, right? So the church is like, okay, we can take that, right? Strip all elements of paganism out of it and replace it with things that are good and wholesome and give honor to the true God. Because, right, this is something that helps people in the transition period when one religion is dying out in an area and another is taking its place. In other words, this is something that helps in fulfilling the command of our Lord, go ye forth therefore, and make disciples of all nations, teaching them all things whatsoever which I have taught you, and baptizing them in the name of the Father and Son and Holy Ghost.
There you have it. There is no house holier than Spirit Halloween. Remember that next year.
There you go.
I
appreciate the perspective on that, and thank you for your call.
Yeah. I like it. It's a manifest destiny for the holidays. We are going to take it and make it better.
Yeah, I've heard all sides of this now because we had a lot. There was one particularly enthusiastic super chatter who insisted that it is fundamentally anti-God and Christians should have no role in participation with Halloween, taking that hardline stance. This is probably the first time I've heard the counter from my perspective was a dressed up way of saying, come on, let's like have a little bit of fun, right? This is a more affirmatively Christian defense that Vong was offering, though, which is interesting. I haven't heard it in that detail yet. So thanks for that contribution. Okay, next up is Golden Leaf. Golden Leaf, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you guys doing today?
We are well. What's on your mind?
So, I am just looking at my clock. How long has it been since the new Glock now has a switch on it now?
I had a friend texting me about that earlier. I didn't hear about that until today.
We're counting in hours or minutes?
Yeah.
It took about less than a couple weeks.
So how the friend was texting me about the fact that now the idea was Glock made this new line of V or 5 or whatever it's called.
Generation V.
Yeah, to comply with weird. California and their dislike of how easy the older generations of Glocks are convertible to full auto. Does this mean, and I don't, if you don't know, that's fine because I have no idea. Does this mean that the new generation of Glock may have California problems? Is that where this is headed legally?
I would say yes, because the reason why they got rid of those certain Glocks was because they said it made it readily accessible to a machine gun.
Yeah.
To which then Glock's like, okay, California, we'll bend over, we'll make a new one for you. And then they made a new one, thinking it was all good, and then some autist in the garage with Temu parts made a new switch.
Well, that's the thing. Like, how is there a way to make any semi-auto gun actually full auto proof? Now, Glock is famously simple for its design, so perhaps it's the easiest. But what gun is not theoretically convertible? What semi-auto, at least, is not theoretically convertible to full auto? Does that exist?
A revolver?
No,
no, you said semi-auto. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
you could say
something else.
Revolvers, but the problem is with semi-automatics, it's just a simple creation of some tools before you make it full auto. There's a lot of stuff that people can do with 30 minutes and some machining tools.
Yeah,
well, just ban semi-autos then.
Well,
I think that's what the anti-gunners are going to try to go next, because they went after Ruger, because they have a certain pistol that is somewhat similar to Glock, and they're saying they need to cease manufacturing and sale because evidence suggests can be easily converted to an illegal machine gun.
Yeah, isn't that just a Glock clone? What they've built?
It's literally Ruger looking at a Glock, making their own style. They just basically copy my homework, but make sure it's not the same.
Yeah, and anybody can. The PSA dagger is just a Glock clone. And now that the patent has expired, you can do that.
I have a Canik, and it's basically a Turkish Glock.
Yeah.
That's literally what it is. So the problem with anti-gunners is, give them an inch, they'll take them out. Now they're going after Ruger for this exact same thing. And it's just showing that it's, no matter what, bad people are always going to do stuff.
Yeah, it's not like you're deleting the older... First of all, the older generation Glocks are probably the most common, at least handguns in the country. Second of all, you can still 3D print the frames. It might not be the most durable, and sometimes, depending on how you drill the holes, it might be a little janky. But guess what? It's still going to work. The idea that you have erased easily convertible Glocks from the world, good luck. That's not going to happen.
The funny thing is, this new Temu style switch basically makes the Glock only full auto. There's no way to switch it back to a semi. So it literally perma locks it to a full auto.
That's I've never shot a full auto Glock, but of course I have many hours of Call of Duty experience with those.
Really, by making a Glock full auto, aren't you basically rendering it completely useless? Like, what are you going to hit
Have you ever seen,
with a handgun on full auto? To me, that just seems
plenty of like videos in Chicago, particularly.
Yeah, shocking.
That's what it's designed for. Out the car window,
like,
as you
if you want
like,
to spray a building,
or not even that. There was one. It was like a doorbell cam of like a block party, and then there was some shooting people were taking cover in a porch. These two dudes rise up and they start spraying with their Glocks.
Yeah.
Problem is,
eyes closed, hands in the air.
Well, the thing is, with a rifle that's on full auto, which I have shot, it's kind of more easy to control because there's weight behind it, and you can kind of control. Pistols, maybe if you do a burst, but if you try to go, oh, I'm just going to empty out the whole mag, then it's just like you're going to probably hit the dude once or twice, and then you're going to silhouette the motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you for the update from Glock World, and we'll see how this develops. Appreciate it.
Stand tall, guys.
Let's see if they try to do another remake, and then see how long it takes for an autist to do it again.
Yeah, well, it's always going to be possible. So there's no deleting the technology. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. This is the world we live in, no matter how much they want to deny it. So
unless you ban machine tools, people will still keep doing this.
I think we're going to have to ban people, actually, to get to the desired effect here. But that, that's what the communists do. Eventually, they just ban people in one way or another.
Before I leave, look up the Luddy.
The Luddy?
Spell that.
Luddy. It's basically a man's middle finger to the British government on how to make your own submachine gun out of parts from Home Depot.
Oh,
amazing!
I thought that was the Chicago special, the Glock with the switch, the Luddy. That's what you drive around with and shoot out your car window.
The Luddy is actually it's literally just steel. It's basically stuff you find at Home Depot. Give 30 minutes and you can make a SMG. Not entirely accurate, but it's still an SMG.
Better than a full auto Glock. Yeah, okay.
Basically. All right.
Don't let them take your guns. Don't let them take your guns. The government just banned a bunch of 22s that I bought for the kids. Now
I'm in Ohio.
I'm
in Ohio. I think we're good.
Thank you, Golden Leaf. Appreciate the call.
Have a good day.
So wait, well, I'm not asking you to implicate or incriminate yourself on the stream, but to the extent you're capable of answering or want to answer, what does that require you to do with these 22s?
As of now, you can't sell them, transport them, or shoot them, but they can be in your home locked up.
But you can possess them, but nothing else is what you're saying.
Yeah. Until they change their mind.
Possess but not use. Not even you can't take it to the range and shoot it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
it's a 22. What kind of 22 is this?
It's their GSG 16. It's like a it's a knockoff of a very famous rifle. But I liked it because it's semi-auto and it has magazines with 25 rounds. Which
what are you talking about? The 22 G36 gun? I have one of those. I love that thing.
Could be close. It's a German sports gun. 16.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Great.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Of them, and
it's a cool gun. I would love to have a real G36, but never going to happen. So I bought the 22 probably 5 years ago. Haven't shot it for me.
I was wondering because in Canada they're really strict about anything over like 8 rounds, and these were 25. You'd pick up 10 magazines, and you can go do a lot of.
Does yours? Mine has a 20-inch barrel. Does yours have that?
I believe so. Yeah,
it's like a giant 22 rifle, which makes it the softest shooter ever.
Scary. It looks really scary, which is why they banned it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's again, what's hilarious at the range is your roll. It looks ridiculous, and then you shoot it, and it's one of those. It's not a toy, of course, and
it's a deterrent.
I don't mean to suggest that it should be treated like a toy because it's not. It's a gun that should be treated with the same respect as every other gun. However, some guns are a little more toy-like than others, and that is a very toy-like gun in the shooting experience for sure. At least I think. It's with the giant barrel too. It's like it's so soft and kind of quiet. You hardly
it has
need
that like fake
ear protection
suppressor on it, right?
Mine doesn't, but it's the barrel's so long that you might as well. But anyway,
yeah, no, they're great guns.
Well, hang on to that one. It's a cool one. Is it mine? It's a clone made by I think it's by Walther. Is yours by Walther?
No, German Sports Guns is the brand.
Oh, okay. Mine I think is a Walther clone.
Okay,
so they might be slightly different.
Slightly different, yeah, because this has a false. Like a false suppressor on it. So, I mean, it looks like a real tactical.
You got like the folding stock and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one has an extending stock, not folding, but it's similar, and it looks scary. And in Canada, that's pretty much all you need because most people are disarmed and don't know anything about guns.
Well, wait, are you allowed? And RB, I got you in here, but just sit tight for 1 second. You have to lock it up, but you can't use it. Are you allowed to like deter a home intruder by?
Oh no, we can't do that at all.
What's the word I'm looking for? Brandishing it. You can't even like hold it.
No.
Okay. RB, are you
self-defense? Self-defense is illegal.
Yes. Hello.
Of course. Are you the caller from Europe again?
Yes, from Central Europe. Although nobody calls it that, so it's just Eastern Europe.
That's right. So you called in. Was it last week or the week before? And it's got to be what 4 or 5 in the morning for you?
Yes, it's 20 past 4 right now.
All
it's
right.
fine. I work late. I work for game developer out of California, so I keep these hours. Because of the time dilation. I wake up at 12 a.m. 12 p.m. my time.
Very interesting life situation. That's kind of crazy. But what do you got for us?
Yes, the guns and self-defense was something I wanted to talk about, given that today is 19th of, well, over there is 19th of November, which is International Men's Day, as well as day Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted. And it was something I watched.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
4 years ago now, 2021 was the acquittal, I think. Yeah.
I think so. Yes, I think so. It was something I watched. I watched the trial. Truly keynote masterpiece trial, like made for movies. Incredible scenes. You know, the difference between the antagonist and protagonist. You know, the zaniness of the antagonist. You know, the Binger, the district attorney.
Yeah.
He only used 1 foot.
and like with him being like this weird metrosexual and the fat guy that was doing the checklist at the close, like complete, like amazing stuff.
Do you remember when he said, you'll have to tell all those kids who get skateboards for Christmas that they're getting deadly weapons?
I don't even remember that, but yeah,
there were a lot of great moments. Yeah.
No, it couldn't have been scripted better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. As you go through it, you realize it's basically Tolkien-esque. I mean, even with the people that died, Grosskreutz, like Mr. Big Cross, or rather artist formerly known as Grosskreutz, who he changed his name, right? He tried.
Did he change his name? I didn't know.
He was the one that changed his name, right? He tried to do the extortion. He tried to sue the city for damages, and he changed his name or something.
That sounds like something he would do. And of course, I'll never forget Rosenbaum either.
I think you did a video. Shoot me, nigga.
Sorry. You were saying?
And the one there was a whole tension to it, right? Even though the righteousness of the protagonist was unquestionable to the layman observer, it was still in peril, to the last point. You were not sure which way this is going to go.
Oh yeah, I won't ever. You talk about how unforgettable that trial was because of the cast of characters and the arguments, for sure. But I also will never forget the delivery of the verdict because we had our newborn son. He was 2 months old at the time. And we were sitting in the bedroom at my house and my wife was watching, and she actually got the verdict a few moments. It came out on Twitter a few moments before it came up on the, whatever the crime channel is. We had it on live broadcast TV. Crime. Yeah. And so we had it playing and she got it a little bit before it actually came on the TV, and she just started crying. And I thought that meant that Rittenhouse was convicted because she just had tears flowing down her. I was like, oh no, but they were happy tears. I learned that a few moments later. But it's crazy how that, in addition to being a very important self-defense case legally, it was such a memorable, emotional moment for our family, thousands of miles away, and we don't know anybody involved. It was that big and important and engaging. Yeah.
No, my wife was crying too. We were really, really into it.
Yeah, the morbid bit was they made him pick the jurors that would be actually deliberating from a lottery bin. That was kind of morbid.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. They had Kyle pick it out. Yeah, draw numbers or whatever it was.
Yeah, of the jurors. There was 12 jurors in total, and he had to pick 8.
That's right.
Or some number. Oh, there was also the bit where Like FBI, like, you know, it's straight up like Die Hard sort of movie interjection. FBI just shows up in the middle of the trial and it's like, hey, here's this drone footage.
Oh,
Like,
I forgot about that too. And then they tried to say that Kyle pointed based on the drone footage.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, they were like looking at literal pixels. They were really like looking at pixels and were deciding whether it was a sling or it was him pointing gun at the midget
And
guy.
then there was those great Binger and the fat guy soy jack memes where they were pointing at the like 3-pixel image that you're talking about as supposedly conclusive evidence that Kyle was in fact an aggressor and was not acting in self-defense. God, man, you're taking me down memory lane here. I forgot about all the details of that.
This would be a production. This would be made into a movie if Hollywood wasn't full of communists. This is 12 Angry Men for the current for the current cynical age. This would be like, you know, epoch defining movie if you could make it. Except, you know,
well, we don't even need Hollywood.
There's
all the footage. Someone with good editing skills just go splice it up, put it together, and condense it. It would just be 2 hours of gold if you could do it right.
I think
incidentally, though, yep.
The only thing I was going to say, I think Kyle himself has kind of disappeared off the internet. Is he not? He's like taking a break. Or
he was doing a conservative like sort of talk show circuit.
Yeah.
Because mostly his life is basically ruined. He won't be able to meaningfully find a job, I don't think. But yeah, he disappeared lately, and because there's no real patronage for conservatives in this way. Like if this was like a leftist, if this was like insane shitlip, like he would be getting professorship, like he would get a tenure at a university somewhere, and we will be laughing till, you know, sitting pretty the rest of his life.
Gage Grosskreutz is probably a professor at some community college right now. You're right. He's
his name. He changed his name to like P something. And
I remember this.
He also got run over at some point.
That's right. He had a DUI again, which he had a history of that. You're ringing all these bells in my mind that I'd forgot about. Didn't he change his name to like Peter something?
But I don't remember what it was, but it was like zany stuff.
Oh man.
And
I forgot about all these details.
The thing I'm basically convinced that if he actually shot the guy that got away, the black guy that hit him. He kicked him in the face, right? And there was the implication during the trial that they knew who it was, that they found him, but he wouldn't cooperate. He wouldn't sign a deal, so they just pretended they didn't know him. He didn't know what it was.
Jump kick man. That's right. Yeah.
If he ventilated him, I would bet money that he gets convicted.
Well, he should be. That was when Binger said he only used 1 foot. That was in defense of Jump Kick Man, to say that Jump Kick Man did not, in fact, use lethal force against Kyle Rittenhouse because he only used 1 foot. It takes 2. You can only crush someone's skull with 2 feet. Everyone knows that.
The thing I'm pointing out is that because he was a black guy, and there was the racial element, the racial calculus is that there was only quote unquote white guys that died, although they were not exactly white, but that's okay. My contention is that if he actually did kill or you know, murder, whatever, if the black guy actually died, then the calculus would change in the minds of the jury to the point where I think they would convict him.
And I got an update from producer Tim on the name whenever you're ready. I don't mean to cut you off, but
go ahead.
The name, and thank you, producer Tim, for the fact finding. Paul Prediger. Which sounds like
did
Paul
that on
Predator.
purpose? Yeah.
He touched young people.
Well, wasn't he the only one that wasn't a predator out of everyone?
He was
Rosenbaum definitely
common
was.
petty thief, something like that.
Yeah. Rosenbaum had a history of was child sex abuse, was it not?
Yeah.
Wasn't he convicted
he, like,
pedophile?
Raped like a 10-year-old guy, 10-year-old boy, something like something horrific, like legitimately horrific, like multiple times, not just I accidentally fell into this, like multiple times.
Well, appreciate your refreshing of my memory on all that. God, man, that was quick final thought, then I'll let you go.
Yeah. The whole reason I'm bringing this up is, and the reason I brought up the black guy, you know, dying is not dying, and possibly affecting the result of the trial is that self-defense over here basically doesn't exist. It's a holdover from Soviet era law. Even Solzhenitsyn complaining about it. It's disproportionate use of force. Meaning if a guy comes at you with a knife, you cannot use anything that's disproportionate to a knife, so you cannot shoot him, obviously. If you have like martial combat training, I don't think even can use that because that's considered a deadly weapon, right? It's basically equivalent of you get stabbed and be nice to him, or whatever. The issue is that with this Rittenhouse trials, and more even blackballingly the Ahmaud Arbery trial, which was running somewhat concurrently with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, is that even though you can have codified self-defense laws, through these procedural sort of manipulations and contra analysis, you could get to the point where you do not have the right to self-defense, because the outcomes of these procedures, outcomes of these trials, are going to be stacked in such a way that you might as well not do it. Like, you might have a gun, you might have practically or theoretically the right to defend yourself, but if you shoot the wrong guy, in a completely nonsensical sort of scenario where you couldn't be expected to make the appropriate use of force analysis yourself, because it's all compressed into 2 seconds, you functionally don't have it. And the game theory outcome is you just don't defend yourself because the risk is just so high.
Yeah, if the calculation is so complicated, I'll have to bring an entire proportionate use of force arsenal. Like, I got my pocket knife in case he has a knife. I got my handgun in case he has a gun. If it's just fists, well, then I've trained. But it's like, if I'm a black belt, is that too much? If I have to sit there and evaluate the appropriate level of force for someone who is presenting me with lethal force, you're right that you may technically have the right, but at that point it's so technical that you effectively do not.
Yes, that's my point. Thanks.
Appreciate your call. Thank you.
No problem. No, stick to it. I mean, that's like, I'm pretty sure, as far as I'm aware, we have what's called a duty to retreat.
Yeah, a lot of states have that.
Even in a home invasion, like, you gotta get out.
Yeah. A lot of states are set up that way too. Appreciate it, RB. Thank you for calling.
Bye.
Okay. He mentioned Ahmaud Arbery too, and that was one thing I was thinking about talking about on Sunday, but I scrapped it for time. That's the jogger case. You remember the jogger case?
Yeah, very well.
So in addition to the murder that they were convicted of, and that whole case was very complicated by the citizen's arrest component, whether they committed a lawful citizen's arrest or not. That was kind of the crux of the case. And long story short, I see how they're convicted under the citizen's arrest law. You may agree with that or disagree. There's some debate there. We've had that on this channel. The idea that it was a federal hate crime because, like, they texted the N-word once or something. The federal hate crime component was preposterous. They had a suspicion that this guy was stealing in their neighborhood because the guy was stealing in their neighborhood. That's what was going on. I remember when it happened on the show, or on the former iteration of the stream. So people were saying that they tour construction sites all the time and just walk in there and take a look at which I found to be baffling. I didn't know people supposedly have this hobby, but anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the federal hate crime component was total crap. It never should have been prosecuted. It was brought by a politicized Biden DOJ. But those guys, the McMichaels, father-son, who killed Ahmaud Arbery, they just had their appeal on the hate crime charge federally denied. So not only are they going to be in prison forever for the murder charge, it's a federal hate crime tacked on top of all of that.
And then it makes it, right, that's on top of the murder. Because, as far as I followed that case pretty closely, and it was a tough one. Usually you know exactly where you stand. I mean, basically it seemed like it came down to, like, you do have the right to arrest someone, but you have to not kill him in the process, kind of.
If I recall correctly, and I might butcher this because it's been so long, but my recollection is that the citizen's arrest law required firsthand knowledge of the crime. Like, they had to witness the crime, and they did not, in fact, witness him stealing, even though it seems very likely. So I think that was the crux. So with that understanding, the original pursuit was supposedly unjustified because the pursuit was unjustified. The confrontation that happened was unjustified. And that's how you get to the murder. If I remember correctly, I might be totally wrong because it's been several years now, but something to that effect was the complicating factor. It was not, it's a complicating case in that I absolutely believe Ahmaud Arbery was stealing in that neighborhood. I think that's the most plausible explanation for what was going on. However, the law as written could still say that they were unjustified in the way that they confronted him. And I think that's how that played out. But I might be.
Even though it got complicated with he took the gun. Is it self-defense once he reaches for your weapon? But you're not a law enforcement. But did you know they were racist?
And that's how it went. Yeah, it's like, well, okay, sure, there are complexities on who was justified.
But they're right, yeah.
But did he say it? Did he say it? Of course. And that's where it comes down to. Like, whether they belong in prison for the so-called murder or not, even if that was undone on appeal and it was found to be, they were found to be acquitted or innocent or whatever the term would be under Georgia law, it doesn't matter because Joe Biden intervened because
he said the N-word.
And that's all that matters. If someone says it, they got to be locked up in federal prison. Anyway. Okay, that'll do it on our calls. Yeah, it runs this country. Appreciate our live callers. Thank you guys for calling in. I also have some voicemails. So let's get into voicemails. And actually, before I do that, I want to remind everyone, if you'd like to participate in the show with voicemails or emails, you can do that through the contact page of my website. There's an email box you can use. There's also the phone number to call and leave a voicemail, or you can just send a text right to that line, and you can interact with the show that way. MattChristiansenmedia.com/contact is where you find all that information. So let me pull up our first voicemail here. And yeah, here we go.
Hi, Matt. Just listening in after the show ended. I have a different perspective on the immigrants' work visas, I guess. I'm admittedly a Canadian living in the U.S. as an electrical engineer. I'm on what's known as a TN visa, so that is a much higher education level that's required. 3 people from my class are living throughout the U.S. Without getting too rambly, after the housing market collapse in about 2008, it seems like, higher up people got laid off and the entry-level market just crumbled. It took about 10 years to recover, maybe a little less, and now there is a massive gap in experienced, intermediate and senior electrical engineers at the very least. I don't know how long it's going to take to repair, but it's going to be a while. Thanks.
Fellow Canuck, Mark. So to clue you in, last week with Frank, I was talking about Trump's comments about H-1Bs, and he was saying we need H-1Bs, which in the American immigration context, you're familiar. Okay.
Yeah.
But Trump was saying, well, we need H-1Bs because Americans lack talent to do some of these complicated jobs. And we were kind of ripping Trump for that commentary. We got another call about this in a moment. But that's what he's talking about. And thank you for the call. Now, I would think that this caller is something of the exception. Now, he's not H-1B by his own description, but he's the sort of, at least what he's describing is, I'm a skilled electrical engineer. I have some kind of technical job there might be a labor shortage in, or a company has a particular need for a particular type of electrical engineer. You bring me in and I do the job and it works out for everybody. And that might be, in theory, what H-1B was designed to achieve, or similar programs were designed to achieve. The reality now is that something like 75% of H-1B visas are going to Indians to do jobs that are debatably technical or not technical at all. And H-1B has morphed into something that I think, and I think a lot of people think, is just a way to undermine the American worker and pay foreign workers less. It has nothing to do with technical skills or things that there isn't an American workforce to do. It's just getting the labor cheap. And so we use H-1B to do that.
Yeah, well, I'd heard, I don't know specifically what it was in reference to, but something maybe because of what Trump's investments into the military, but yeah, something that like 600,000 electricians short. And so Trump was using the H-1B to say we need these guys. But I don't know if electrician is really a big thing in India, and we have the exact same problem here. It's like 80% of our immigration is low-skilled second worlders. They're not, you're going to get a couple Canadians who actually know how to do a decent job, but I can understand what Trump is saying. Like, okay, if we want to bring back the companies and they're going to bring the jobs, but we also need people with the skills for those jobs, and we got a skills gap in the market.
Yeah. I can buy that, and our next caller is sort of to that theme. The problem is, in practice, it is a big question. The IQ, the Indian question, we have to, why are 75%, maybe it's just that the Indians are 75% of the global population, not that much, but effectively
I'm not
they
sure
are. There's so many
they
of
are.
them.
What I'm not sure about is the H-1B, because I know that a majority of that until now that I'd ever heard of was for tech for programmers and stuff. Is H-1B industry specific, or is that like what is the
no? The
qualification
technical requirements of H-1B, as far as I understand, are jobs that require a bachelor's degree. So some degree of technical expertise, but we're not talking about super complicated things.
But does electrician require a bachelor's degree?
Usually not.
That's
yeah,
a
usually
ticket,
that's
no?
like an apprenticeship.
Great,
You
yeah.
learn on the job. You train with somebody.
Right,
I'm not an electrician, so those of you guys who are might be able to tell me, but that's my understanding. It's not like you have to go to a 4-year college to do it. I'm not. Trust me, electricians out there probably way smarter than your average 4-year college grad. I don't say that to dismiss the profession. You're doing something practical that matters,
And they're not taking selfies with their trade ticket thing.
Yeah. So anyway, appreciate your call. Thank you for that. And the next call, like I said, is sort of on the same theme. So let's get into that. This is about Trump's commentary from last week.
Hey, Matt. First time, long time. I'm in the middle of listening to you and Frank talk about H-1B visas and manufacturing on the Wednesday show, and I just wanted to offer some clarity and firsthand experience related to the Hyundai raid. So most of my career is in manufacturing. I spent 5 years at a major Japanese auto plant in the U.S., and the way it works is the Japanese will send over what they call a pilot team, and that pilot team's responsibility is to train American workers to build vehicles. It's a very low ratio. For every probably one Japanese worker, there's 30 to 40 American workers. And those Japanese people only step in to build vehicles in a shortage or to demonstrate something to an American worker. And I guarantee you, I didn't work for Hyundai, but I guarantee you that's exactly what those Koreans at the Hyundai plant were doing. All they were doing was teaching Americans how to build. I mean, Hyundai probably has their own manufacturing system. The company that I worked for had their own. It's not a matter of these Americans are stupid, they can't do it. It's they have the capacity. We just want to teach them our way. So just wanted to offer some clarity. Yeah, we don't want to import tons of foreign workers when we have the talent here, but it's not how it was portrayed by you guys. Anyway, appreciate the show. Thanks for taking my call. Bye.
Yeah, and thanks for calling. And that does sound about right. And that's not a program I would oppose, by the way. Like if there are businesses that want to build, foreign businesses that want to build in the United States, but you need to train a workforce to do that. If you bring value and business to this country and you're going to train American workers to do it, that's not something I would generally oppose. I think that's mostly a good thing for this country. So I know you're taking some issue with maybe how we presented it. I just want to add the context that we were responding to what Trump said and not necessarily what you described there. And looking back at Trump's commentary, maybe it's a little bit, I thought at first, like, no, Trump is just wrong. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what Trump is saying, because this is the commentary that we were responding to last week. Now, the talent comment, of course, I'm still going to dispute, because he's saying, well, Laura Ingraham said, why do we need to bring in all these H-1Bs? And Trump said, well, you need people with talent. And she said, we have plenty of talent here. No, we don't. Okay.
Yeah, talent's a bad word. I think he meant skills.
Yeah. Set that aside. But what he said, he was talking about the Hyundai plant in Georgia, as the caller was, where there were a whole bunch of Koreans that got raided by whatever immigration authority. And
we had covered that, I think, like a month or so ago.
I can't remember. Did we talk about that one?
But yeah, wasn't it like hundreds of people that were rounded up, which seems like a high number for a training crew?
Well, yeah, here's Trump's commentary. The quote was, in Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea who made batteries all their life. You know, making batteries is very complicated. It's not an easy thing, very dangerous, a lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people early stages to make batteries and teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted to get them out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. So when I read that to mean you've got hundreds of Koreans doing this job and not necessarily the ratio that the caller is talking about, where it's a few Koreans teaching Americans how to do it. And that is the sort of stuff that I would be opposed to. If you're going to bring foreign business here and use foreign labor to do the building in this country, what is our country gaining out of that situation?
Yeah.
That's what I would oppose. What the caller's talking about, I don't necessarily have a problem with, but now I'm unclear what Trump meant, and I don't know exactly what that Hyundai situation was in Georgia. Were there hundreds of Koreans working there, or is he talking about something else?
Yeah, no, it sounds like, I mean, these are two very different scenarios, because the first thing with the other caller who said about the Japanese car companies, and like they've been doing that since the 70s, when a lot of big American manufacturers tried to adopt the Japanese model because they were much more efficient, and they sent over trainers and they taught people here how to work. But with the battery company thing, sounds like, yeah, they have a specific skill for this company. Trump got them to bring the company here, and they just brought all the workers with them.
Yeah.
And their excuse is, well, the Americans don't know how to do this job because it's technical. And again, yeah, I could see how Trump's looking, if you're sort of line go up GDP person, like, yeah, great, they're here instead of there. But if you're America first, you're like, I always say America first is a bad term. It should be Americans first. And it's not just about, does it increase the overall GDP, but are Americans getting jobs? And this seems and self-defeating.
Trump's comment is kind of unclear. You brought 500, 600 people here early stages to make batteries first, and second, to teach people how to do it. So what were they doing? If it was more making than teaching, then it's the sort of situation that you're talking about there, and I have more questions about it. So anyway, I certainly appreciate your insight into how the industry works and your clarification, because, yeah, what you're talking about, I think, is a lot. Your description of events is a lot less objectionable than what Trump is talking about, or at least the way Trump phrased it, whether it's accurate or not. And I just want to be clear that we were responding to Trump's situation and not necessarily yours. But appreciate the call. Thank you for that. Next one is on the ongoing Nick Fuentes controversy.
Hey, Matt, this is Be Humble. I've been thinking a lot about this Nick Fuentes talk, and I think it's time that we on the right do what we should have done a long time ago and start posturing the way that we ought to be in terms of the similarities between the Nazis and extreme leftists. People like Nick Fuentes have way more in common with mainstream leftists than they do with anybody on the mainstream right or the MAGA movement. And the fact that the right wing has allowed the left to pretend as though the Nazis and the alt-right are some altered version of the right wing is preposterous. We need to start posturing correctly and pointing out that these people are the same. The only difference between the racist Nazis and the left-wing extremists today is who they want to oppress with government power. They both want the government to oppress people. It's just that the Nazis want the white people to be oppressing everyone else, and the leftists want everyone else to be oppressing the white people. That's the only difference between them. They are not right-wing. We need to start posturing ourselves as the anti-Nazis, the anti-fascists, because those are both left-wing ideologies, and we need to start pointing it out more. And that's how we defeat people like Nick Fuentes, by putting them out there and comparing them to the leftists as much as possible. What do you think?
Well, thanks for the call. Anytime you have philosophical problems with a particular view, yeah, you should take that on. And this is what we've been talking about with some of the emailers and some of the callers. How do you handle, because Mark, to clue you in, I had spoken with frustration about what I view as a lot of gatekeeping regarding the Tucker and Fuentes interview, and you're a bad person if you even consider these ideas, and you shouldn't host certain people and you shouldn't talk to certain people. I grow very weary of that kind of stuff, because those were the predispositions of the left that turned me away from them, and I don't like that. If you don't like a certain idea, you engage with it and you defeat it. That's how the battle of ideas works. And so if you find a philosophy that you disagree with strongly, I gather that you want more opposition to Nick Fuentes and people who agree with Nick Fuentes. I don't think I would actually generally agree with what I gather are your principles here about collectivism, the role of government, those sorts of things. My only hesitation in this approach is I really hate the assignment of labels in all contexts. Like when you assign yourself a philosophical label, because then there are all sorts of assumptions that go along with that. I also hate the words Nazi and anti-fascist, because they are so loaded now that they're so overused that they're almost meaningless. So as far as branding yourself as anti-Nazi, that could mean a lot of things. And when people like, if someone tells me I'm anti-Nazi, I know this is not what you mean, but I assume that you're like a deranged communist if you say that, because those are generally the people who believe that. I know that's not you, but it's the same thing with anti-fascist. Now, would I consider myself in principle anti-fascist? Of course, insofar as I believe in a limited, small government. You don't have fascism that operates that way. But Antifa and anti-fascism are such loaded terms that if I said, hey, I'm anti-fascist, you think the same thing. You think I'm a deranged communist from Portland. So my only dispute with your approach there is just, I would just start with the moral principles, start with what you believe to be morally true, and work outward. I would shy away from labels in all contexts because they tend to create a lot of assumptions. And I think especially with those words, those are bad assumptions.
Yeah, they confuse people and start, because it's not only is like not Nazi, fascist, we're so far detached from the people in those places and those times that they're not applicable. Even left and right in America in our time, any of those labels, everyone's going to have their own opinion of what they think it means and their context. Even big government, being against big government, that's a really American thing. That's not a European thing. And their version of left and right is very different than the American version of left and right. And so, it's been a lot of years. I could go on for hours and hours in the political philosophy of these, what is, just the argument, what's left, what's right, and what the proper definition of those terms, and just avoid them, because you're going to piss off somebody who's not going to understand you. And Matt's right.
Well, thank you for the affirmation. And I appreciate the call. Last call here, last voicemail. This one is about last week, Batman and I were talking about people who are both pro-life and pro-gay marriage. And that would describe caller Drew here, who wants to offer a thought on that.
Hey, Matt, how you doing? This is Drew Westmoreland. I had called him before and left you some emails. I am one of those people who is in favor of gay marriage, and I am not in favor of abortion. To me, it's really not that complicated of a logical understanding. One is murdering innocent babies, and the other is two legal adults coming together voluntarily. To me, the two are not mutually even at all related. So I hope that helps explain that. Other than that, I just wanted to say I've been watching your show for years, and I appreciate everything you do. And I'm glad to see your family is growing and that your audience is also growing. So best of luck to you and yours, and wish you all the best. All right.
We love you.
Bye-bye.
You're very special.
Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. And all the best to your family as well. Now, just to make sure the audience is familiar and you're familiar, Mark, with what he's talking about. So I can't remember how exactly it came up, but last Wednesday with Batman on, he brought up the point, because we're looking at some kind of public opinion polling. I think we're talking about the Supreme Court rejecting the appeal, or they didn't want to hear the challenge to the gay marriage case from 10 years ago, which was possible, but the Supreme Court rejected the case. So we're looking at some public opinion polling on gay marriage. And Batman had made the point that given that gay marriage has something like 70% poll approval in this country, and 50% of people are pro-life, roughly, on the abortion issue, that there's overlap between people who are pro-gay marriage and pro-life on the abortion issue. And he and I talked about how maybe that's a little bit odd insofar as one is viewed generally as a conservative position and the other is viewed as liberal. But to your point, Drew, I can't remember exactly what we said, but I was not trying to give the impression that those are logically inconsistent necessarily, just that it's kind of odd in that there's something of a conservative liberal mashup there. But to discuss my own perspective, and of course I invite yours, Mark. I oppose abortion for the same reason. It's a life. You don't extinguish innocent life because life has value inherently. And that premise, that principle, is the foundation for our entire morality. So mess with that and create a lot of moral confusion and nonsense. So on that basis, I'm pro-life. On gay marriage, I would have to know what pro-gay marriage is, and I don't remember what the poll said or how it defined that. I'm not in favor of making homosexuality illegal or something like that, for generally the reasons you describe. If two people are engaged in consensual activity that does not violate the rights of others, I don't generally view that as something, as an area for the law to take action. However, the union of man and man is not the same thing as the union of man and woman for all the sign tapping reasons we've discussed lately.
Don't make me tap the sign.
One has the capacity to create new life. That's a distinct capacity. The other does not. And I would oppose anything that compels me to treat them as the same thing, because they're not the same thing. So whether that is calling them marriage, treating them as the exact same thing under the law, maybe I'd be out on that because they're not the exact same thing, though I don't necessarily oppose legal rights for gay couples if they want, I don't know, certain tax treatment or hospital visitation rights or something like that. What I'm getting at is, does that make me pro-gay marriage, anti-gay marriage? It's kind of a complicated topic. I don't think these are the same things morally, but I don't want some kind of massive legal intervention either. Anyway, just my perspective on that. And I guess I would say that I'm somewhere close to you. I don't know if I fit in the polling of being pro-life and pro-gay marriage necessarily, but I'm not trying to lock up all the homos or something like that. So I don't know what the alternative would be. If you have any thoughts on that, Mark.
Yeah. Well, we've discussed the gay marriage thing before. And again, I don't think that homosexuality should necessarily be criminalized. For me, it's a definitional issue. I just don't think it should be called marriage because that's between a man and a woman, and let them have a hospital rights and civil union, whatever they want to call it. I'm not a fan of them having the right to adopt kids, but that's a kind of different issue than marriage. But as far as the caller is concerned, to me, I get the logic there. I spent many years in the libertarian, Rothbardian, Randian, where everything flows from the non-aggression principle. Mm-hmm. And that I can see how that aligns up, where, abortion is taking a life and no one really, gay marriage is consensual. So from the strictly libertarian aspect, it's logical, and I can see how a lot of people could hold both opinions.
And the children, you're right, is where it gets very legally. You got a lot of legal questions to ask about how that ought to be handled. Insofar as the capacity to produce children is the defining feature of the male-female relationship, institutionalized through marriage, when we treat gay marriage as the exact same thing, you sort of come up with, theoretically, a right to kids in the context of a relationship that cannot have kids naturally. So you have all kinds of, sperm donation, egg donation, adoptions, all kinds of goofy stuff going on that it's more than goofy. I mean, it puts kids in a compromised position where they are denied their right to a mother and a father intentionally. And that I agree is an area where the gay marriage stuff has very important legal questions to address. So while I certainly have no opposition to, again, like tax issues, the hospital visitation stuff you bring up, when you start saying we have a right to kids this way, I'm definitely going to.
It's a totally different thing. And it doesn't even need to be a moral question. For me, it's just, as far as I'm aware, in family law, the legal standard is what's in the best interest of the children. Yeah. And I know this is probably going to get me in major trouble here, but scientifically speaking, men and women are different. And
you're going to be arrested by Canadian feds as soon as they're done at the ostrich farm.
Probably, yeah. Well, our kids are adults now, so they can't take them away. But men and women have different skills, and they balance each other, and kids kind of need that. So if it's in the best interest of the children, I don't give a shit about two gay men wanting a fancy purse or a luxury, what do you call that? An accessory, which is what I think kids are to them more often than not. And when you are a parent, you are not the priority. The kid is, and what's best for kids is a man and a woman. So,
all right. Well, thank you for discussing that. And thank you to Drew for your thoughts on it, and appreciate the clarification. All right. Appreciate our voicemail callers. Looks like that's all we got for now. So let me get into the emailers, and then we'll catch up with Super Chat. Appreciate you, Super Chatters, and your patience. We'll get to you before we're out of here. And let's catch up with our emailers beforehand and see what they have to say. So first up is Peter. Actually, before I get into the emails, one thing I wanted to emphasize, I'm going to have to be a little bit clear on my website. In fact, there's another sign to tap.
Don't make me tap the sign.
I had to keep a couple out of them tonight because they were just too long. I can't do multi-paragraph submissions, and I know that a lot of these ideas are complicated. I get that, but that's part of the challenge, is pick the piece of a complicated idea that you want to discuss, and let's focus on that. I just can't paraphrase long submissions. So when you're submitting to the email inbox for the show, keep it as concise as possible, and I'm happy to address your question.
Pop it in Chat GPT and say, can you reduce this to 500 characters or less?
The challenge is not just the time it takes to read it. It kind of obscures the point or the question. I have to spend more time trying to figure out what that is, or I have to paraphrase. And when I paraphrase, I might not get what you mean right. So I just don't want to do that, you know? So appreciate your commitment to being concise, everybody. Thank you for that. Peter 4 is our first emailer. He says, would you ever be willing to disclose how much you make a month or a year? Maybe like a breakdown of where you are getting your revenue from YouTube versus direct website and so forth. Love the show. Love the transparency. It's what sets you apart, but totally understand if you would not want to. Well, thanks for your kind words, and thanks for the question. I appreciate that. I'm not going to do anything like that in line item detail. No. But one thing that I will talk about as far as how the business operates, and as far as how you should understand this when you ask how much I quote unquote make, it is a business operation. It's not just me. That's what I mean when I say that. There are a lot of costs to making sure this all operates. There are software subscriptions. There is equipment that needs to be updated. There are a dozen or so people I pay who are regular contributors to the show. People that are contributing value to my show, I want to make sure to give value back to them, and so they're paid as well. So what I quote unquote make is it is after all of those expenses.
What's your net, Matt?
You're going to have to get my tax return. But it's a matter, obviously, I don't want to discuss these things just for privacy reasons. In the same way, I don't think anybody would just post their income on Facebook or something like that.
Yeah, well, didn't you see that there was a YouTuber who came out with that a couple weeks ago, and they were like, oh, how much do you make? I don't know if he posted it voluntarily or not, but it was like $30 million, and everyone just lost their minds.
Mine is not
saying
that.
You make millions of dollars.
No, it's I'm not doing that well. But the other thing is, like, to answer this question, I'd have to do it, I guess you're asking annually. It'd have to be something like that. But as anybody who's in business this way understands, this is not a salary thing. There are good times. There are bad times. Sometimes ad revenue's great. Sometimes terrible. Sometimes Superchat's great. Sometimes terrible. You might sell a lot of soap one month. The next month, not. And so, as far as how revenue breaks down, I mean, there's a lot of variability in that. Depends when you're asking the question, depends what year you're asking the question. And so what I make, I'm not even trying to obscure here. I'm telling you, it's legitimately a question mark. It's a mystery box every single year. And that's actually a blessing in a way. I know it sounds like the uncertainty can drive you mad because, yeah, I don't get a salary that I know my check is going to be this much. No, it depends on how well the business does. It depends on what the costs are. But the trade-off to not having salary guarantees in that way is that there's so much upside when you're in business for yourself in this way, or at least there used to be before there were so many thumbs on the scale meddling with things. But in general, I get out what I put in. And so I hope that if I put in, I've never been more motivated to work hard to try to see where my ceiling is than when I was in business for myself. So yeah, it's all question mark. Like whatever I'm going to make next month or next year, question mark. Who knows? I'm going to do the best I can, and we'll see what we do. There'll be up times, there'll be down times. And I want to emphasize, I'm not going to give you a number, but I think I don't think people if they saw the number would be. It's not $30 million like you were saying, Mark. Nobody's gonna see that number and go, holy crap, that guy is rolling in dough. No, my only goal in all of this is to make enough such that my business can sustain. By that I mean cover my costs and pay my guys I owe, and then be able to take care of my family. And my family, the ability to take care of my family is not a massive need financially, like anything that would shock people. I've been pretty careful in my life in planning for rainy days. I want to make sure that I can provide for my family insofar as my wife is primary caretaker for our kids. And so far I've been able to do that. I have been able to get by with enough to make this family a reality for the last decade. And of course, I'm very grateful to all of you who support my channel and my product to make that a reality. And other than that, if I'm able to take care of my family and do this, that's a dream. Whether we live relatively modestly or we live in a $30 million mansion, which we don't. But yeah, I live a humble duct tape life mostly, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I just want to be able to do what I love doing, and my audience has allowed me to do that for about 10 years' time now. So
great. I mean, that's the benefit of being self-employed. My business is very much like yours in that way. I don't make money doing this. I mean, relatively speaking. But yeah, it's the same. If someone to say, how much do you make in a year? I'd have to do a 10-year graph and even it out and say, oh, okay, well, that's projected. But then every year it's cyclical and it's seasonal and it's up to how many hours do you want to spend working tomorrow? And even on the years when you do great, you automatically have that existential dread that next year you're going to be at zero. So I sympathize with you 100%.
And that's it's like it is a dice roll, and it's I know.
But you work for yourself, and so if you every day that you can do it and you're okay is a blessing.
Yeah, and if it didn't work out for me and I had to stop, if I had that dice roll hit zero, and it theoretically could, like you're talking about. I no regrets, man. Give me the tattoo. No regrets.
No regrets.
Because the ability to do something, the ability to make my own job, doing something I love and have it sustain for a decade, man, if I failed tomorrow and it all went away, that's awesome. Like that's an experience I wouldn't trade for anything, even if I have to get some kind of quote unquote normal job, which by the way, I'm not too proud to do. Like I said, more than anything, I love YouTubing. I love making this show. I love making my videos. I believe that I'm good at it and that I have a role in doing this. And I hope that people enjoy it. But more than anything, my job as a father and husband is to take care of my family. And I'm not too proud to do anything to do that. If I have to clean toilets at the rest stop to make sure that my boys and my wife are taken care of, that's what I'll do. If I can't do this to take care of them, I'll do whatever it takes. And if it all disappeared tomorrow, it wouldn't be a failure. You know, it was a hell of a ride. And I'm really glad it's been a part of my life. So thank you to everybody who's been a part of this part of my life. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mark. Even though you're Canadian.
One 16th American. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Next up is Mo Lesting.
That's disgusting.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
I got gotted last week, Mark. It's always a bit. People do the like Bart Simpson calls. Names.
Oh no. Okay.
Like molesting.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. I got gotted by someone named Jenna Tolles last week.
Oh,
Jenna,
geez,
and I bought it.
Matt.
I thought Jenna was real. I was totally tricked. So Mo,
that's a good one. I've never heard that one. It's clever.
Jenna Tolles was tricky. Mo, I'm on to you, Mo. But Mo says, with respect to your discussion of Nick Fuentes, you spoke about the importance of engaging with people who you believe have bad ideas and explaining why they're wrong. Is there any limiting principle to this? Fuentes is an open admirer of Hitler, who killed millions of people. It seems like this is the type of view that is so horrendous that debating or discussing it with someone is irresponsibly treating it like it's debatable as to whether or not genocide is good. Kind of like debating a leftist demon person on whether or not the murder of Charlie Kirk is a good thing. No, there is no limiting principle. All ideas are included in the battle of ideas. If an idea is bad, it should be engaged with and debated. The badness will be exposed, and it will lose to better ideas. And that process is how we find the truth. It's how we find what is correct. It includes all viewpoints, including Hitler is cool, I love Hitler, genocide is good, murder is good. Those moral wrongs will lose to moral right upon examination because the moral right is true. The battle of ideas here is how the truth is discovered because no individual person has a monopoly on that truth. So the question I would have to ask, and I know you're asking me, I'm not asking you, but I would have to follow up with a question here. Okay, let's say that there are these ideas that are so offensive, they're outside the bounds of debate and the battle of ideas that is the mechanism through which we find the truth. Who says what those are? Who makes the list? Who decides? Is it one guy who has a perfect connection to the truth? Is it the High Council of Truth? I'm not saying this to mock you, because I'm taking your question in good faith. So I'm sorry if I'm coming off that way. I don't intend it to be that way. But if certain things are outside the bounds of debate, who is going to be the authority to declare those boundaries? My position is there is no such authority. All the ideas battle, and the superior ideas will emerge victorious because they are true. And the really terrible ideas that you're talking about, like, is murder good? No, you can confront that with the basic premise that all life has inherent value because we are made in the image of God. You can dispute that premise. But if you do dispute that premise, the rest of morality falls apart, because if human life has no inherent value, it doesn't matter what you do to a person. There's no value to it. Who cares? Go ahead and kill him. Most people are going to be persuaded by the human life has value angle of that argument, and that's true with the rest of these moral questions. So that's my position. No, there is no limiting principle. All ideas are thrown into the blender. That is the battle of ideas, and the best ones rise. But Mark, do you have a thought on any of that?
Well, I didn't catch your Fuentes discussion. I think the guy is interesting, and it's tough, because should some people be ostracized for holding obscene views? Sure, but again, as soon as you give that power to a third party or a higher authority to decide, then it should be a person by person on a one by one basis. You associate with who you want to associate with based on their opinions. But just from what I've seen, usually the people like Fuentes-ish, who are kicked out of the conversation, it's generally because they're misunderstood or misinterpreted, or that people are hearing what other people think about them, and I'm not a fan of any of that. I've like a lot of people, I think, have things that are of value and aren't of value. I've heard Fuentes say some really based stuff, and I've heard him say some really dumb shit. And my opinion is always take the good and ignore the bad, or try and convince them on the bad. And even the same thing, I know he's said some stuff about Hitler, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, not defending Hitler. But I've never, even of the furthest right people I've engaged with, I don't think I've ever heard anyone praise Hitler for the killing, for the genocide part, right? And people can say, okay, well, no one's all good or all bad. And to look at somebody and say, well, everything that they do or say is not worth consideration because of a bad thing they did. There are a lot of people who look at the American founding fathers and condemn them as genociders. So a lot of it's speculatory and based on your position and your opinion. And so, yeah, I don't like writing off anything or anyone wholesale. Look what's good in it and what's bad in it, and you endorse the good and you condemn the bad. And even look at I remember when this most latest iteration of the Israel-Palestine thing popped off, and I was like, I condemn the evil on both sides and praise the good on both sides. And I don't think either one is 100% one or the other. And yeah.
So in summary,
Heil Hitler, baby.
Yeah, there you go. You got me.
I thought I had the remember when Kanye said I like Hitler on Alex Jones' show? I thought I had that in here somewhere, but I don't think
Net and Yahoo.
Anyway, yeah, to answer your question about what was said, I haven't discussed it too much other than I'm annoyed by the gatekeepers. And yeah, if someone wants to interview or have a discussion with Nick Fuentes, great. If you think that person didn't challenge sufficiently, as is the accusation against Tucker Carlson, that's fine too. You don't have to love the interview. I'm not saying you do. My only problem is when people want to assign this moral value to the mere act of talking to a person, or telling me that maybe I'm bad if I want to listen and just see what the person has to say. That's where I get frustrated. We should all evaluate that person on our own, giving a fair consideration to their ideas. If their ideas are truly terrible, they will fail in the competition to the better ones. I just don't want to be told by somebody else that I'm a bad guy for engaging with a particular idea. And with Fuentes, there's a lot of that going on. It's not just, like, I disagree with his ideas, which is fine. Absolutely disagree and explain, but just don't tell me that he's like some forbidden person that if you merely listen to or talk to, you are also condemned or something like that.
Yeah, no, I hate that. How you even know? Then you're just that's an argument for ignorance. Like, if you're going to condemn Tucker Carlson for talking to him, and if you haven't listened to him, how do you know it's bad unless you're taking that on secondhand knowledge? No, like I think everyone should be able to talk to anyone, and then you decide what you like and what you don't. But definitely, I'm 100% opposed to condemning anybody because of who they spoke to. You don't know their motives, and you're not God, and you're not the shadow. That's an old people reference.
Yeah, that one went out. Sorry, that one went over my head. I don't know.
He
I don't know
knows
that
what
one.
lurks in the hearts of men. I'm going back to the 80s for that one.
I'm going to say that, you know what? Here's my principle, Mo. You cannot be in favor of molesting.
Bingo.
You cannot be in favor of molesting. That's where I draw the line on what ideas we're allowed to debate. Now, I appreciate your question, and yeah, in the same spirit, it's important to challenge what I'm saying. I believe wholeheartedly what I'm saying about how the truth is discovered and the principles that we ought to protect in pursuit of it, but I also think that it should be challenged for the same reason. So thank you for that. Groover Cleveland, not to be confused with the former president. This is Groover, way groovier. Yeah. Are there any parts of the Bible that you think could be used in good faith to support progressive political positions? Now, as always, I'm a bad guy to ask about specific scriptural references. I'm nowhere near well read enough to do that yet in my biblical experience. But I've read enough to know there's plenty of biblical theme about loving and helping people who are in need of love and help, and that's fine. I think the difference where progressives go wrong, number one, I think a lot of them don't actually believe the scripture, so it's difficult to take their citations of it seriously. I think it's convenient rather than sincere. But even if they are sincere, I think where they get confused is the difference between helping and loving those in need voluntarily or doing it by government coercion, because I don't see a lot of biblical support for the idea that these things ought to be handled at gunpoint by government coercion. And that's where I think a lot of the scriptural reference goes around, as though like if Jesus Christ came back, he would not be doing the same thing he did previously, which is walking among the people and helping them. He would be, I guess, issuing orders from DC or lobbying Congress or something. Like he would be operating within our political framework.
For office.
It just doesn't make any. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but the classic argument to that is render unto Caesar, right? And in that sense, he did defer to the government. I don't think Caesar was a big welfare state guy, though. So
yeah, maybe. I mean, like I said, I'm not a scriptural expert guy. So maybe those of you who have more understanding than I do are maybe you're saying no, all the time. Jesus said, yeah, absolutely. I love government gunpoint. I love coercion. Let's operate that way. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I think that's where a lot of the disconnect happens. It's not the themes of helping those in need, loving those in need. It's the idea that government was the intended agent of Jesus's teachings. But just my, I don't know, my educated guess on that. Not even educated, my straight up guess.
The good fallback on that is when I don't remember which apostle it was. No, it was Mary, I believe, who went to dump the perfume on Jesus' feet. And one of the apostles said, "What are you doing? We could give that money to the poor." And Jesus said, "No, you'll always have the poor, but you only have me once." And that's a very good argument. Again, this is you'll see it all the time. Like, well, why doesn't Elon just end world hunger with $6 billion? And of course, the problem with feeding poor people is it makes more poor people. And I think the only way to really look at the issue is how Jesus did it, which is that our goal is not to create heaven on earth. It's to get ourselves right with God. And that this is a fallen place, and when you try to create paradise here, you end up with gulags and concentration camps, and try to avoid.
You end up with Canada.
Yeah, exactly. try to avoid ostrich massacres.
Yeah. Thank you to that was emailer Groover Cleveland. Chris. Due to my 3-year-old, I'm slow to catching up with your long-form content. I know that you feel it's a taxpayer's right to know how SNAP or food stamps are spent. Do you feel the same way about public servants such as firefighters, shopping in grocery stores? Are you one of those D-bags who says, "What am I buying you for dinner?" Well, I may be a D-bag. I don't know if I'm a D-bag in that way, though. And there's a big difference between a food stamp recipient and a government employee. One is a handout. The other is working in exchange for compensation under a labor agreement. So no, I wouldn't go to a government employee and say, you can't buy that pizza for dinner because they have exchanged their labor for money under some sort of contract. Their money is theirs. They spend their money how they wish to. Whatever my philosophy about, what sort of government workers should exist or how big the government workforce should be. The fact of the matter is that individual has exchanged labor for the cash and they're spending the cash as they see fit. And in general, I don't have a dispute with that. If you're getting a handout that you've done nothing to earn, then yeah, I think the taxpayer has some say in that. In the same way, like if I'm taking you out to dinner and I'm paying the bill, maybe I pick the restaurant. Maybe I have some say in what we're actually doing. Otherwise, you're if unless I've told you like, yeah, my treat, pick whatever you want, and you take us to the most expensive steakhouse or something like that, unless that's the arrangement. But what I'm saying is these are two fundamentally different things, where one is an exchange of labor for cash. The other is just I'm getting stuff from you because whatever your alleged qualifications are. Anyway, you have any thoughts on that, Mark?
What you said, plus beggars can't be choosers. Why is this complicated? I don't understand.
But they are, dude. Like that guy in Oakland who told me not to forget the Pepsi. That guy was a beggar and a chooser.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a long story. I always it's like one of my first red pillings. When I won't tell the whole thing, but okay. I decided I was going to help a beggar on the street, a hobo who wanted a sandwich at Quiznos, and he wanted cash because I know he wanted to go buy drugs or booze. I said, no, I'm not giving you cash, but I will buy you a sandwich. What do you want? He told me he wanted a tuna sandwich. All right, I'm going to go get it. And as I'm walking in the store, he said, and don't forget the Pepsi. It's like, you son of a bitch. Classic. That's begging and choosing right there.
Yeah.
I bought him the damn
I think
Pepsi.
we've all had it at least once. Oh, I've had people like, what, $1? Yeah. Something
they've complained about the value. You didn't give them enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lee said, fair point. It was a Canadian dollar.
Oh, well, yeah. He was right to complain.
Yeah. What the fuck is this?
Lee says, I've got two fun ones for you. Have you played the game Rebel Galaxy? It's a fun arcadey space game all about piloting and upgrading big spaceships and punching things in the face. The soundtrack is epic. I think you'd like it. If you don't do anything else, check out the soundtrack. And for my second question, have you thought about a sounder that's just duct tape being ripped off the roll? So as far as the video game, no, I don't know it, but I'll take your word for it. I've so little time for video games. A little bit. Playing Paw Patrol with my son these days. I set aside a little bit of time each week to play video games, but that's it. I'm just playing Paw Patrol right now. Nothing fancy. As far as the sounder, I like the creative thinking. Like, can we incorporate more duct tape branding into this show? The problem with the duct tape sound is it's rather harsh, and if you don't know what that is, it's kind of hard to tell. So, for example, I pulled this duct taped sound that's on YouTube. Listen to how harsh this is. It's kind of fingernails on chalkboard.
There's got to be a rounder version of that somewhere. That was very shallow, condensed.
Well, that's all the work I was willing to put into it.
You need to do some like Star Wars audio magic and mix in
maybe
an elephant.
I think when things go wrong tech-wise, I'll just stick with the verbal sounders I already have. Like
they don't know what
I'm gonna go search for.
Love those.
I'll do a search for clips of duct tape being mentioned in famous productions.
Split the difference. Yeah. Like famous duct tape movie references or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's thinking. But hey, I appreciate the creative thinking, and maybe you've spawned a new idea here, Lee. So thank you for that. Next up is this isn't even a trap. It's just his name. Spank Lord. Professor Scott Galloway said that when women don't have a relationship, they pour their energy into their friends and their work. When men don't have a relationship, or when a man doesn't, he pours it into conspiracy theory, porn, and misogyny. How much of this do you agree with? Do you think it's an oversimplification or wholly baseless? Well, I don't know if the distractions are that specific, like that particular itemized list, but I do fully agree that when men and women are separated or alienated from each other, there are disastrous consequences. Men and women both are properly focused on family, and they work together to do that, of course. And really everything is a distraction secondary to that. There's God, family, everything else after that is of varying importance. You've got your country and other allegiances. But relative to those things, everything else is a distraction. So if you prioritize anything before God and family, you're going to be dissatisfied, confused, unhappy. Men and women, of course, have to work together to prioritize family. There's no other way to create them. And so it's a necessity. And I think for people to be happy and satisfied, you should orient your life toward the creation of family, the sustaining of family, toward family generally. Anything otherwise, whether it's the items listed here or something else, is going to lead to confusion and unhappiness. So in general, I agree with the principle, and the specifics are probably right too. Excuse me. Those are probably common distraction points. You have any thoughts on that, Mark?
Yeah, well, I think you can have like less terrible hobbies like music or reading.
Yeah. You don't have to pick conspiracy theory porn and misogyny. Hey, man, at least 2 of those are awesome. Conspiracy theory and misogyny. Pretty great. Yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Spank Lord. Me for free. Well, I appreciate your and Batman's sincere response to my letter last week. I think something Frank said at the end of his appearance highlights exactly the road I'm walking down. Frank said, quote, "I'm worried that in order to set things right, we're going to have to do a lot of unconstitutional things. Who is we? What are the things? What will the result be? The only people I can think of in power who seem willing to do the things that maybe Frank is talking about are Stephen Miller or J.D. Vance, and it would be a gamble of a lifetime. Do you feel like there's anyone even remotely close to having a viable plan out of this, or will everything just go back to nothing ever changing? P.S. I have 2 girls. One is 2 years, 4 months. The other's 10 months. And yes, they are both the cause of and the solution to the blackpilling. How are they the cause of the blackpilling? I had said to me for free last week because he had a black-pilled question, and he mentioned his daughter. And I said, well, the good news is that having your child means you are immune to the black pills because you must have a faith in the future for her sake. And so you've got an automatic anti-black pill right there. But now he's telling me his kids are the cause of his black pilling. I hope that's not the case.
They can be tough sometimes. It's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah, that the reason it is so rewarding is because it's so challenging.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't speak for Frank, obviously. So if you actually want to know exactly what Frank meant, I would encourage you to contact him because he's pretty accessible. He'll probably discuss that with you a little bit. But as far as the plan that I discussed last week, which was the theoretical or hypothetical American Revolution 2, some kind of second declaration, some kind of separation, fighting defensively if there are aggressors who continue to aggress despite that declaration of grievances, all of those things. Could I give you any national politicians who are sincerely in favor of that sort of thing? I cannot. And I think probably because if you're a serious presidential candidate, you're not going to run on the concept of American Revolution 2 or some kind of second secession, at least now. And it's not going to happen until things are bad enough that a critical mass is actually in favor of that. And if there's one piece of, if not black pill, kind of a dark gray pill, the truth of the matter is it's not bad enough yet for a critical mass to support that sort of thing, even though I think it's fully morally justified. But as things maybe have to get worse to reach the point that they could be improved in that way, if that's the direction we go, all you can do is exactly what you're doing. You love your family, you build your family, you prepare for a rainy day, but you focus your purpose and you find satisfaction there because that is where you have the most control and you exercise the most influence. So God bless you and your daughters and your family and keep the faith, man. There is always a future when you put them first and foremost. So that's the good news for you.
Yeah. Don't be black-pilled.
Yeah. You have any, that's 2 black-pilled questions in a row for me for free. So if you have any additional anti-black pill thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think about the question there. And it's a tough one. When you,
if they're
it's hard to not get black-pilled sometimes when thinking about the future of politics. I don't see a lot of easy ways through what we're in the middle of.
There's always going to be a status quo and institutional bias until the house of cards falls. Like until it's so bad that the public appetite to tear down the institutions exceeds those who oppose it, and we're just not there yet. And I'm not even advocating anything necessary. It has to get so bad that people are wondering like where's their next meal coming from, and we're not there yet. So we should all be smart and make sure that you have some backup meals for such a day, because it seems like people have to have it get bad enough to worry about that sort of thing before they'll start taking it seriously.
Yeah, start selling some Ben Shapiro meal kits.
I don't have a meal kit sponsor. Yeah, I gotta figure
meal
something.
Kit companies.
I can sell you soap. All right, if you need a shower in the apocalypse, I can't promise the water will be hot, but the soap will be excellent.
It will be shiny and well shaven. I gotta say, I like that lie to your face line. That's clever.
Oh, on the
the
razor ad. Yeah, that was I didn't write that copy. That was from Western Razor themselves. Yeah,
good job, guys.
Yeah, they're clever. Former listener, I hope that's not true, but if you're leaving, all right, thank you for contributing to the show. Former listener says, "I'm sorry." Go ahead.
I hope they're not leaving because of me.
I think it was just sent before. Yeah, so I don't think you turned them away. I don't know. Maybe if they hate Canadians, I understand. Whatever. Former listener, I'm surprised no one gave you this chapter about family in Genesis. It's 38 verses 8 through 10. English, what ESV is English Standard Version, right? Whatever the translation is there. Do you give a shit about your local state and try to interview your state reps? Well, for the scriptural reference, I had to pull this up because, again, I'm not scriptural expert guy. But yes, Genesis 38 verses 8 through 10 in the English Standard Version translation reads, "Then Judah said to Onan, 'Go to your brother's wife and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her and raise up offspring for your brother.' But Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. So whenever he went into his brother's wife, he would waste the semen on the ground so as not to give offspring to his brother. And what he did was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and he put him to death also." So without a lot of expertise in scriptural interpretation, I gather what's generally going on there. And in the context of what has been discussed on this show previously, I would interpret that to be a pro sign tapping theme.
Don't make me tap the sign.
As in, the purpose of that male-female relationship, the male-female union, is the proper production of children. Undermining that purpose is sinful. That's why this guy was put to death. Am I understanding that correctly, Mark? Or am I missing something?
I give up on trying to interpret these
it sounds like
1,000-year-old Jewish traditions about intermarriage. They get lost on me.
I know it's complicated by the brother thing and all that, but I interpret this to say this guy pulled out a lot and God said, "No, the hell with that. You're dead."
Okay. Yeah, well, that's fair.
Because the purpose of the male-female union
stay in there.
Is the production of children. Yeah. That's what I read this to say. Maybe I'm mistaken. Anyway, thank you I've not seen that scriptural reference, so that potentially is another one to consider in this context. But as far as the rest of the question and local politicians, yeah, I mean, of course I give a shit about my state and my state reps, and I've spoken with a few of them, not on any not super in depth, but I've had brief conversations with them in the context of their campaigning or other situations. And I'm certainly open to having them on the show. It's not necessarily something I solicit because I don't know if having a local Montana politician is the most interesting thing for everybody. Probably talk about like Gallatin County or Montana specific things like property tax being out of control or land use issues or something like that. But of course I care about my state because I genuinely believe it's the best state in the United States. That's why I choose to live here. And there are a lot of people moving here from other states who want to vote for the same nonsense they just voted for in that place and destroyed the place they came from. So I have a lot of concern for my state, and maybe in the future I'll be more politically active in the local and state context. I don't know. I hope I don't ever be a politician, but who knows? Maybe I'd be more involved in some way because this state is worth preserving. And, I know everybody feels the same, or I hope they feel the same about their state. I certainly do about mine. And there probably is a lot more I could do to try to get more involved in local and state politics instead of just having a stupid stream. But that's where my head's at on that stuff.
Yeah, no, running for my American cousin, shout out Matt, ran for local office. But yeah, I think the hard thing with media and politics is that even though the closer politics is to home, the more important it is, it's also the more like granular and boring it is. Whereas when you're talking presidential nationwide stuff, you can get a lot more theoretical, and it's much more interesting to talk about the big ideas than about, you know, how are we going to fix that sidewalk?
Yeah. So, but if I get an opportunity to interview a Montana politician about fixing the sidewalk or the gravel roads that we have around here, yeah, maybe it'll happen. All right. Thank you to all our emailers, our voicemail callers. As a reminder, if you'd like to contribute to the show that way, head on over to the contact page of my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. And all the information is there for you. So we'll get into our super chats. We'll call it a night. I know I made you guys wait a long time tonight, so thank you for your patience. We'll read these and we'll bid you good evening. Producer Tim, Lefty supporters, Katie Couric, George Stephanopoulos, Chelsea Handler, Charlie Rose, Woody Allen, Prince Andrew, and many more famously had a dinner party with Epstein after his conviction. Dems are now pushing guilt by association. They can get fucked. Yeah, I saw some Katie Couric thing talking about how she supposedly didn't know, but again, this was after the plea deal in Florida. So how the hell would you not know? I don't understand that.
They might be full of shit.
Mechanical Mercenary. There's a gynecologist in Savannah, Georgia named Michael Jackson. Michael's a common first name, Jackson a common last name, so that's definitely believable, but I don't know. I mean, Michael Jackson, do you? I know there are a lot of allegations against him, but it's also, Michael Jackson's name is not damaged in the way that Jeffrey Epstein's is, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's you get to how bad is the name, and there's a lot of I'm sure there's like thousands of Michael Jacksons out there, probably very common. But yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, it's close. Just change it. When it gets to a certain amount of bad, just shorten it.
Your whole life, you're going to be saying, no, not that
Just go with Jeff, you know?
But yeah, especially with Jeffrey Epstein, because Michael Jackson, is common enough that it's got to be a lot of them. But how many Jeffrey Epsteins are there actually?
Probably not that many, and they're probably all spelled the gay way, like G-E-O, Joffrey.
Oh, like the British way. Yeah, like King Joffrey. Except for that was Joffrey in Game of Thrones, I think. But
it's fictional.
Joshy Boy, DeviantArt is a platform mostly for artwork. There's stuff for writing as well, but that gets less traffic. Yeah, drawings of furries with masculine, muscular bodies and sexualized female dog faces.
But is it like a normal platform? Because the word deviant gives me an idea that it's not.
I think it was supposed to be like Deviant was not. I don't think it was by design a place for sexual deviance, but became that way, if I understand correctly. Or maybe is it sexually deviant by design? I don't know.
It's in the word, no? I mean, do I have a bad connotation that I shouldn't be associating with that word? But to me, deviant is deviant. But maybe it just means,
whatever the intent was.
I'm going to have to check Wikipedia and find out. Yeah.
Producer Tim says a Daily Caller review of FEC records. Crockett listed included WinRed, the Republican online platform, which received multiple micro donations from someone using the name Jeffrey Epstein, listing their occupation as child molester.
Bingo.
Yeah, so those are legit. It probably was Jasmine Crockett setting this up long ago. Injured Guardian. Neil censors my AR-57 info. Email incoming. Also says Bering and his wife are both awesome. Subscribe. Bering's a great guy, and so is his lovely wife Sugar Tits. I appreciate them both. Injured Guardian says Binger pointed the rifle at the jury. The idiot. How could I forget about that? God. And yeah, if you have information on the AR-57 mystery, I welcome it. But I think I've exhausted all possibilities for that AR-57 upper. I hang on to it. Maybe one day I'll be able to complete it. But you might be the guy with the information I need, so I'll keep an eye out for the email. I appreciate it. Duvier, Verdell. I'm mispronouncing that probably, but first name Peter, last name File. That would have been more appropriate. For Gage Grosskreutz, Peter File? Paul Prediger is a very weird name choice, though. That's why.
I'm trying to combine the two. I got nothing.
It's just weird to pick something that sounds like Predator. But okay.
And it's like slightly alliterative. Yeah, it's very odd. I mean, Gage Grosskrautz is not exactly the normalest name in the world either.
It's very German, right? He's a Wisconsin German guy. Makes sense. Anyway, Life Sanders. Thank you, Duvier. I don't get Democrats. Harris is talking like they won, but she had a better strategy and was playing 3D chess. I just don't get it. I had that clip of her saying that a few weeks ago, and I just scrapped it for time. But yeah, something about how she had done 3D chess against Trump to get him in the campaign. Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Yeah. Adds, Life Sanders also says, also Michelle Obama said that it's because of black people's hair. That's the reason why they don't swim and die. We were talking about that during the Hoax Hate segment on Sunday. She also said that she's not running for president because she's a woman and can't win because of that. I didn't hear that part, but her perpetual victimhood. Is there any more annoying fake victim in the country than Michelle Obama? Beyond the Jussie Smolletts and everybody else, this is maybe the most powerful woman in the country. Woman in air quotes, depending on your opinion.
Yeah, well, other than the other most annoying woman ever, Oprah.
Does Oprah victimize herself this way though? Maybe she does. I don't know.
She does. She's better at it. She does it like cleverly, but yeah, she's annoying too. But Michelle takes the cake. Most obnoxious person ever. It's just because she's so beautiful. That's why life is so hard for her. She's just so hot.
Yeah, well, especially all of us white people approve of her straightened hair according to white beauty standards. That's why we just can't resist. Mm-hmm. It's like she said. She keeps complaining about white beauty standards and straightened hair while continuing to straighten her hair.
Yeah.
Why? Stop. Why don't you redefine the beauty standards for all of you victim black women?
Because then they wouldn't have anything to complain about. I have yet to meet a white person who has ever complained about the curliness of a black woman's hair, but apparently they're out there.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got a text. Josh is telling me pedophile means pedophile. I know that pedophile means pedophile. I get that. Yeah. Thank you, Joshy. I wasn't. Yeah. I didn't get Jenna on that one. It wasn't. That was not a Jenna Tolles moment. I get it. Anyway, Injured Guardian says chat declined when Robin left. We are sad. I haven't heard from Robin for a long time. You're right. I don't know what happened to Robin D. Banks, but she could come back at any point in time. Who knows? But thank you, Injured Guardian. Joshy Boy also says, "Come on, Matt. We know you're being funded by Mother Russia." Well. Those allegations were never substantiated, but dude, I hope we get the truth on what all that was. Because
was there anything after they just dropped it, right?
They just dropped it, but
it's not politically convenient anymore. And
as I talked about at the start of, yeah, well, not only has the DOJ gone away with it, but I remain frustrated. I'm going to be diplomatic about this. As discussed at the start of September, the people who are running the company are now publicly talking about many things and refuse to talk to me. And I'm very confused and disappointed with that. I hope that there will be resolution in that matter so we can all
the people put this to bed. Being, I don't know if I can say
the people who were running the company
or the people below the Russians.
The people allegedly working for the Russians who are running the company.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'll stop beating around the bush. Lauren Liam refused to talk to me, and I'm very disappointed and confused by that. I don't get why they're doing this, but they've left me in the dark. They refuse to discuss anything with me while they're just publicly tweeting about whatever nonsense, and I'm just disappointed and confused by that. That's where it stands. I would like to hear. I want to hear their side of the story. They've put it out there in a statement, but they won't discuss it any further. So I'm just confused by the whole situation. But that's where it stands.
That's annoying.
Yeah, maybe they'll talk about it one day. I hope they will. Even though I'm disappointed and confused, I would greet that conversation in good faith whenever it happens. But I don't get why it's suitable to talk to the public, but not talk to the people you were actually contracted with, and not talk to the people you were in business with.
Is it only you? Or are they talking to other people that were?
I have no idea. And the reason I don't know is because I don't want to go behind the scenes, sneaking around, trying to gather information from other people. My perspective is we had a business arrangement. You should come talk to me because of that business arrangement. I don't think it's right for me to go trying to gossip around with other people, but I also don't think that I should have to do that. We had a relationship. You should talk directly to me. Until they're willing to talk directly to me, I'm in the dark. That's where that stands.
That's disappointing. I would think there'd be at minimum an apology.
No,
not a reach out and hey, here's what happened.
No,
sorry, we almost got you.
Nope. There's been no concern for my family, no apology, no interest in the state of my life at all, which I have no explanation for, but it's incredibly disappointing.
Yeah.
And then, raising a bunch of money for supposed victimhood while telling people that you've paid all your debts out of your own pocket when you have not paid all your debts. I mean, they owe me money that I never went after them for. That's fine. I understand. They got problems to solve. I never tried to collect from them. But they're telling people that they paid all their people out of pocket, so please pay them, and they raised tens of thousands of dollars. And they have no concern for me in that arrangement? Okay. I guess that's how we operate now. Jeez. I thought we were friends.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying we're not friends, but I am saying I've been treated with some very unfriendly behavior, and I don't have an explanation for that. So that's where it stands.
Damn.
Producer Tim, speaking of supporters, have you reached 250,000 supporters before Matt, like previously? I think you were stuck at 247 for most of the show's history. You're actually growing. If you are actually growing, I encourage people to like, share, subscribe. Getting 300K by year's end would be awesome. The growth has been happening. It's a very weird situation because I've been able to break YouTube, whatever their algorithmic nonsense is. I've had some videos really push through it. The latest one being the Seattle mayor one really took off, and that's brought in some subscriptions lately, which previously has not been possible. So yeah, 249 I think is where it is right now, and that's the highest I've ever had. It's been stuck in the 240s since like 2019 because they've boxed me into a corner.
Right.
The weird thing is I can break, like, YouTube hates live content now, it seems. You know, it's tough to maintain a live audience on YouTube. And I know that it's not just me in that box, that there are a lot of people making live content where YouTube does not seem to promote it in any way. Like, you either know about it or you don't. YouTube cares about shorts and to some extent videos, and if you make live shows that are long, go fuck yourself. That's YouTube's stance right now.
Which is strange because, I mean, they're taking a cut of Superchats and all that. I don't know. I don't really understand. I don't even know what the revenue, like how revenue is generated from shorts at all. But they
ads. I think it's super ad heavy, and I think that they know their revenue more than I do. But yeah, it is weird. The only way I can understand it is they must be crushing it on ads on shorts much more so than they would be on ads on live shows and super chats and all that stuff. So they really push shorts, and I hate shorts. I'm not ever making shorts. It's not what I do. Don't give a shit.
I like watching shorts. I'll watch like hours of shorts because I refuse to go on TikTok, and so that's the most mindless entertainment I have.
See,
YouTube shorts, but I have YouTube Premium, so I don't even see the ads ever.
You have created this short economy that I despise.
Yeah,
but
I'm the problem. Yeah.
What I'm getting at is it's very weird that like I'm not scheming to try to break their algorithm. I just want to make good content. Some of it is shorter form videos. Some of it's very long streams like this. But every once in a while, I'll get the short video content that can really catch their algorithmic wave and take off, as it has recently. I'm very thankful for that. But it's very weird to me that you could get a lot of momentum on a video product like that and not at least introduce the audience potentially to the live content. By that, I mean like maybe push the show through your subscription notification to someone who just signed up in the last week, and there have been thousands of them. Try that, and maybe they're not interested in long-form content. It's always going to be niche. When I make this show, it's not for you to sit down and stare at attentively for 3 hours. It's for the guy driving a truck. Mm-hmm. It's for the guy sitting in his desk at work for a long period of time who needs something on in the background. It's for the person doing chores at home. You let it play on your laptop or your phone, and you're kind of passively paying attention. That's who this content is for. It's always going to be a little bit. It's never going to have the audience potential as something that's shorter and more focused, but I still love making it. And I just wish YouTube would give the live stuff a chance. They hate live stuff right now. Fuck you if you make it. They hate you.
Yeah, but maybe that's it. Maybe there's just less ad revenue on live stuff because
think
of how
it's
it's
something
the same
like
for
that.
me. When I'm listening to long form, I'm on the computer or I'm doing something. I'm walking. I'm not looking at it. And
Exactly. And
so
that's why
it.
I think shorts must have a, not only can they pump more
watching
ads on them,
them,
but
right.
they probably get like more ad interaction, like actual clicks on the ads or something like that. That's why. So it's a very weird time in YouTube where it's like highs and lows, man. Where like some stuff I'm getting some, in some ways I'm getting some like more push than I've ever had. In other ways, like it's really a struggle to get momentum for a live show. It's a very strange situation in the way YouTube is operating these days.
Yeah. I mean, but do you stream to other platforms?
Rumble, but
or?
Rumble is, I have my own
they're a
complaints about
different
Rumble.
nightmare, yeah.
Which
Maybe
I'll
something else.
And by
Someone
the way,
else-
that sounds like I'm bitching. Rumble's doing a great job in building a YouTube competitor. I'm not dumping on Rumble. I really appreciate what they're doing over there. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, sorry, my apologies. We discussed it last time. Yeah, it's just I don't know why they don't copy it, but we need someone because I understand like YouTube, the way they see it is if you're watching this, you're not watching something else, right? So they're going to push whatever thing is going to bring in a higher revenue for them. But we need Twitch, Matt.
Maybe I've stayed away from Twitch because they were censoring everything, but maybe they've gotten better. I don't know. Taker610, when people say Trump is not running the country by Christian principles and criticize Christians for supporting him, I think, so you've come around to Christian theocracy, huh? Well, that's exactly it. It's like, do you actually believe in the Christian teaching, or is it just a weapon or a tool for you at this moment in time? And I think we're pretty clear on that. Purpose of the Ages, our Halloween opponent we were referencing earlier.
Okay.
Hey, lower class free chat. First of all, thank you for your support for the show, Mr. Purpose of the Ages. Appreciate it.
I am not going to be niggardly.
Lower class free chat. Support what you like or it'll go away. I've missed 3 weeks of MC Live while owning 2 businesses, a ministry, a family of 3, and taking pilot training. Sometimes I worry YouTube will nuke MC Live. I'm always happy to see the show succeed. Well, right on, it's a weird time for live streaming right now, Purpose of the Ages. But you know what? We were talking earlier about like what could happen in the future if you roll the dice and it comes up 0 or whatever. I don't know that I'll be able to do this like as my job for until the day I die. I kind of hope I'll be able to. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I will tell you this. Even if like whether it's a viable quote unquote job or not in the future, I love doing it too much to just quit outright. Like I would still do it in some capacity as a hobby, even if it was not taking care of my family. So don't worry, Mr. Purpose of the Ages. Well, I appreciate your support for the show and your encouragement for other people to do that. Until like they kill me or delete me off the internet straight up, I don't think I'll ever just leave and never come back. That's I can't imagine such a situation.
Matt will always be with us.
I hope.
In some form.
Newbie of Death over on Rumble. Plaskett has a sex tape. Link, please. I didn't hear that, and I definitely don't want to see that sex tape. That's news to me. Have you heard of that? Plaskett has a sex tape. Or was that a reference?
This guy caught me off guard. I don't know. I don't know if he's referencing this show because I didn't hear it.
Yeah, or maybe I missed something earlier. Anyway, thank you, Newbie. I don't even have to press the unpressable button for you. Although I will if you request. Anyway, well, I'll. You know what? I'm going to break tradition, and since you're here, I'm just going to press it for you anyway.
You are gay, LMAO.
Ramsey C. I don't care about Canada and the damn birds. I had to unfollow Viva. Oh, has he posted a lot about it?
Yeah, he got annoying about it.
The only thing Canada has added to the world is the need for a Geneva Convention. Hey man, I'm all about the ostriches now. Viva's probably right, dude. This is legit. Our friend Skulldugger. Halloween was forced on the same calendar day as the Celtic or Celtic holiday of Samhain in an effort by the Catholic Church to replace the pagan holiday. Many Christian holidays follow this model. All right, well, I'll take your word for it. I have no idea about the history of this. I'm just interested in everybody's historical explanation.
Yeah, no, I learned everything I know about it last week.
Zeke Hill. Hey, Matt. Bert again. There is, in fact, no self-defense
Shout
right.
out to Bert. It's someone I should have recognized him last show. He's
Do you know
law
him
enforcement
personally?
friend of mine, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Thank you, Bert. But he says, there is, in fact, no self-defense right recognized in Canada. It all relies upon the judge presiding in court. Force may only be used as a means to escape and retreat. Use of a weapon, gun, or a fake toy gun can and will result in weapons charges. Misuse of a firearm, your license won't be approved if your reasons are self-defense. Canada is a faggot country.
It's Bert.
They allowed that chat to go through. Dang, man.
Yeah, no, it's even a toy gun to as a deterrent, and you will.
Orange cap on the muzzle and everything. They still punish you for that. Anyway, Godspeed for you Canucks. I know I like to mock you, but I fear that a lot of our country,
we deserve all of it.
It's not that far off from ours, though. Like a lot of this stuff we're like a stone's throw away from that here. You know, so it's not. If we don't get serious about defending these things, we're going to end up in the same situation.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're a dire warning for what could happen to you. But this stuff goes back 400 years to the founding, right? And I mean, there was a big, like I had suggested a couple shows ago about doing a trade where all of our cool people go down there and all of your commies come up here. But that's kind of what happened in the founding of our countries. I mean, the loyalists left the U.S. and came up here because they liked being told what to do and paying taxes, right? And so
I guess I don't know that part of the history. The people who loved the crown were like, all right, I'm going to Crown Land. See you guys later. All right, makes sense, I guess.
We divided up back then.
Yeah.
And all the pussies came here.
Interesting. All right. Thank you, Bert. Appreciate you. And thanks for supporting the show. Laughing Boy. Dude, The Shadow was a 1930s radio show. Where do you get the 80s from? I don't know. That's a question
Alec
for you, Mark.
Baldwin remake. Hello.
I didn't know there was one, but
it might be early 90s, mid 90s, probably 94.
Well, that's all I got on chat. Appreciate you guys on Rumble, and thank you guys over on YouTube and Tippy as well. We'll give a quick refresh, make sure I didn't miss anybody. But hey, we're just shy of 3 hours. That was a very enjoyable 3-hour tour, Mark. Appreciate your participation in the show. Anything you want to mention before we're out of here?
I got it all. That's good. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Appreciate our live chatters, super chatters, everybody making the live show a success. If you're listening later on demand, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Hey, thanks to the callers, emailers, everybody participating that way, voicemail callers as well. Of course, thanks to Mark Aaron for sitting in tonight. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance as always. Everything show related, MattChristiansenmedia.com or mattis.gay. I'll be back on Sunday. See you then.